ambition was deliberately destroyed. Leading a massive army of demonic beasts to devastate the human world, his heart was filled with greed, wishing to shroud every corner of the world in endless darkness. At that moment, in the face of despair, humanity's potential was fully unleashed. The ability to control demonic beasts was revealed, and amid the wave of spiritual power awakening, a group of exceptional individuals emerged. They were called Beast Masters. Then, an intense light is emitted and a voice calls for everyone's attention, saying that the demonic beast that appeared above the northern residential area of Qingfeng City has been struck. The demonic beast hit a residential area, and an emergency medical team must be dispatched to provide assistance. At the forefront is Xiaoxing Yu from Xiangnian High School, Class 1, 3rd year. Plasma flashes across his face, and everything around him descends into total chaos. At the beginning of the chaos, before heaven and earth were separated, an alliance is formed with the plasma from the protagonist's heart, invoking spirits of the void, swearing with plasma marked by words. A voice states that the demonic beast has been confirmed eliminated. Residents of the residential area confirmed alive, with no casualties. Beside him is Su Ruyan, Dean of the Azure Dragon Academy, who apologizes for causing unnecessary trouble. In the event of damage to houses, the Azure Dragon Academy will handle the aftermath and provide compensation. The protagonist takes the card and Su says that peace will be restored again, while Xing wonders whether she is a beast master. He thinks that in this era, everyone wants to become a beast tamer and that he also wants to be a beast master. But he does not even have the money to buy a pet. If he cannot take the National Beastmaster exam and become a Beastmaster, he will not be able to protect anyone, until, out of nowhere, an animal jumps into his lap and stares at him. The dog starts licking him and Yu asks whether it did not follow the dragon. What kind of beginning is this? A husky falling from the sky, and could this dog be a beast? He says that the textbooks state that dog-like creatures are called galehounds. Their bloodline is not noble and they do not require spiritual power. Maybe he can take care of it. That would be great. Because with a beast, he could also become a Beastmaster. The protagonist thinks that there are only 3 days left until the National Beast Tamer exam, and that he probably will not make it. Xing lifts the dog and says to awaken its spirit. At a seafood restaurant in Qingfeng City, there is a beast shop. Yu stands in front of it and thinks he should stop someone who has the means to raise it. He also thinks that there is no future for himself. This little thing eats too much, having consumed an entire week's worth of food in just one night, until a young man opens the door and the protagonist asks if he wants this beast. The young man asks whether it is a galehound, a low bloodline beast like that, without even an evolutionary line. What unlucky fool would buy something like this? And he tells him to leave so as not to waste his time. Xing asks why he is being so stubborn. Then a light shines on his face. It is a system message, displaying Yu's data, and the protagonist is a little confused, wondering if he is seeing things and whether that is a system interface. Xing closes his eyes and waves his hand. When he opens them, it is still there, and he wonders why it is still there, and whether it is a hidden evolutionary path. The young man remains there, asking what hidden evolutionary path, since galehounds simply do not have an evolutionary path. The protagonist asks whether the boss cannot see it and if he is the only one who can see that panel. Then Su Jie from Xiangnian High School, Class 1, 3rd year, the son of the richest man in the city, recognizes him and says he remembers that he was not going to take the national exam because he did not have a pet and now he has money to buy a monster. Xing walks away and tells him not to interfere in his life. Ji says it seems that what Lena said is true, that he does not want to go to the Beast Tamer Academy at all, and that, of course, even if he wanted to, he would not be able to get in. Yu asks about Lena, and Jay asks if he still does not know, saying that his girlfriend, no, rather his ex-girlfriend, Jiang Lena, had been with him for a long time. Jiang approaches, asks where he went, and says she could not find him earlier. Then she notices that it is her ex-boyfriend there, and tells her current boyfriend to stop playing around, saying she broke up with him a long time ago, asking how he can look at her with a rich man and with that useless galehound. The protagonist, irritated, tells her not to forget how he helped her when she was at her lowest, saying that she is exactly like that rich country bumpkin. Jay asks how he dares speak like that and says that, believe it or not, he will completely crush him in the national exam. Lena tells him not to worry since he has a useless galehound and that she should have broken up with him long ago. Xing wonders who said they are useless and thinks that they will see whether they truly have a future. 3 days later, at Zealand Square, a voice announces that the Unified National Higher-Level Beastmaster exam is about to begin at the Qingfeng City examination area and that candidates should enter. The assessment officially begins. The protagonist approaches, people recognize him and ask why he is also taking the National Beastmaster exam when he does not even have a pet, since he has no money to buy a beast. They say he only registered for the exam 3 days ago, and even applied to the Azure Dragon Academy, the head of the 4 major academies, questioning how a useless person like him dares to do so. Xing hears everything they are saying but keeps walking until he stops at a desk and says he is there to take the test. Sitting on the chair is Chen Chinian, the admissions professor of the Azure Dragon Academy, Qingfeng District, who thinks that this is the only student from Qingfeng district who applied to the academy. Jay approaches and asks whether he truly does not know his place, saying that in the past 5 years in the Five Kingdoms exam of Qingfeng City, only 8 students tried to apply to the Azure Dragon Academy and none of them were admitted. He still dares to apply to the Azure Dragon Academy and says that if he gets in, he himself will kneel and call him father. Yu tells him to prepare to call himself father. The protagonist says he is ready and that they can begin the test. The professor states that he needs to clarify this in advance. The Azure Dragon Academy's assessment is extremely strict, and he also chose not to accept adjustments. Therefore, if he fails, he will not be able to apply to any other Beastmaster Academy. Xing says he understands and that they can start. Chen announces that the first test is the spiritual power value. Yu places his hand on the stone and the professor says that his spiritual power value is 316. Jay starts laughing and says that he thought he was someone special, but he did not even reach the minimum threshold for the Azure Dragon Academy. Chen thinks that he believed a good opportunity had appeared and calls for the next candidate, until a voice says to look because the spiritual power value has changed and is still rising. It surpasses 800, and people say it is unbelievable, asking whether the spiritual power tester is broken, until the spiritual power stops at the number 1028, and the protagonist withdraws his hand. The professor wonders what kind of monster this is. The spiritual power value is directly related to a Beastmaster's future potential to contract beasts. For every 100 points of spiritual power, he will have the capacity to form a contract with one beast in the future, and 1028 points of spiritual power mean that Xing has the potential to become, at the very least, a 10-star Beastmaster in the future. A 10-star Beastmaster, of which only a few have appeared in the Dragon Country in recent decades. The professor thinks that it seems the Dragon Country is about to gain another genius, and says that his spiritual power value is 1028, recalling that that genius girl Ye had a spiritual value of only 1030 a year ago, and people comment that they did not expect him to be so strong, only 2 points less than Ye. Ji asks what is so impressive about that and says that the Azure Dragon Academy's evaluation has 2 parts. Lena states that he will definitely not pass the next test, the Beast Bloodline Quality Test. Chen says that they will now proceed to the second test until someone calls him and whispers in his ear that just now there was a small problem with the spiritual power tester, and that this student's real score is 1032. The professor thinks that this is 2 points higher than that girl Ye, and in a low voice Chen says that the issue with the spiritual power tester should not be disclosed externally for the time being. Then the professor announces that the second test is the Beast Bloodline Quality Test and that the candidate must summon a beast. The protagonist summons his beast and says that it is his turn to shine. A powerful aura is released, and everyone looks on in shock until they notice that it is a dog. People ask whether this is not a creature with the weakest bloodline and who still contracts a Galehound as a pet nowadays. The professor puts a hand on his head and thinks that, in addition to spiritual power, the quality of a beast's bloodline is also a crucial factor that limits the future development of a beast tamer. Clearly, the quality of Xing's beast bloodline is very low, and he says that, unfortunately, his beast, until people shout for everyone to look quickly because this is not a Galehound. The animal grows larger and more powerful. Chen steps closer to the beast to check the data and wonders if this is the second stage of evolution. The professor smiles, thinking that he really is an incredible guy, and then announces that the assessment has been passed and that he is welcome to the Azure Dragon Academy. Zhe walks away thinking he cannot believe that he actually passed and that he needs to hurry, until a voice asks where he is going and whether he is not going to greet his father. Zhe tells him not to be so arrogant and asks what he can do if he does not call him that. Xing gives an order to his beast. Zhe looks on in shock as the wolf forces him to kneel. Yu asks if he can speak now. Zhe, filled with rage, calls him father. The protagonist walks away and says that he does not have a son like him, telling him to get lost. Lena says that, in fact, over the past 2.5 years, her feelings for him have been very deep and asks whether there is any possibility that the two of them. Xing keeps walking and says he does not look back. Jiang kneels and says she made a mistake, but Yu does not care at all and keeps walking, thinking that he needs to quickly tell his sister the good news that he was accepted into the Azure Dragon Academy. The protagonist calls her but hears strange noises, and the phone disconnects. Around Qingfeng City, at the agricultural market, people are running in panic, shouting that demonic beasts are invading. A child is terrified. A woman hugs her and tells her not to be afraid. Then, a beast approaches them from behind. The woman notices, and it is a huge beast. Xing rushes toward the area and wonders what the hell happened and where his sister is. Meanwhile, the beast is about to attack the woman. Yu realizes that it is his sister and immediately runs in that direction. His eyes begin to release plasma, and the system asks whether he wants to use Black Peak. The protagonist answers that of course he does and wants to use Black Peak, Infernal Bind, and Infernal Roar. But Xing wonders why there is no reaction. Then Yu presses to use it. The monster ahead is enormous and ferocious. The protagonist remembers something and thinks that when they broke the window that time, the people from the Azure Dragon Academy appeared chanting a spell, and he decides to try as well. At the beginning of chaos, when heaven and earth were not yet separated, he forms an alliance with the plasma of his heart to summon spirits of the great void, with plasma as the oath, with words as the incantation, and commanding them to obey his order. The wolf releases its power and destroys the monster with a single blow. A voice asks whether it has been eliminated and whether this is the power of a beast tamer. Xing thinks that this is exactly it. His sister is also with the monster. Yu runs to his sister and asks if she is hurt, saying he arrived late, but thankfully she is fine. His sister asks how he managed it. The protagonist, extremely excited, says that he entered the Azure Dragon Academy and that from now on he is a beast master. The dog jumps on him and starts licking him, and Xing says that this is his contracted beast, the infernal gale wolf, Black Peak. People look on and ask whether the magical beast has been eliminated. Yu replies that it has. The little girl's mother calls out to her daughter and thanks him, asking if they are beast masters. The child runs crying into her mother's arms. The protagonist tells them to go take a look. The system notifies the attributes of the magical beast's core. Xing thinks that although it is only an initial core with a poison attribute, even a small piece is still important and can help Black Peak evolve. Yu says that the magical beast has been eliminated and that everyone can rest easy. Everyone becomes very excited and starts saying that he is the true hero. The child says that one day she wants to be a beast tamer like him. The protagonist places a hand on her head and says that he believes in her and that she will definitely become an amazing beast tamer in the future. Later that night, Xing is sleeping when his sister approaches and watches him sleep. Her eyes begin to shine when she looks at a crystal on his back. Then she goes into another room of the house and says on the phone that the seal of the dragon mark is still there, that the seal of the Dragon King's essence has not loosened even a little. She asks why her brother is still able to contract a beast and whether that makes any sense. The voice on the phone replies that it seems this is the design of fate and that they should keep an eye on him for now. The sister says she understands and that she will keep an eye on him. At Qingfeng City's railway station, the protagonist, together with his sister, is standing with a suitcase when two elderly people tell him to take this basket of salted duck eggs, which he has always loved, explaining that these few hundred yuan were collected by everyone as a gesture of gratitude. The subway comes to a stop and Xing tells them not to see him off, saying that he will come back to visit during the holidays. They board the subway. A few hours later, a voice asks passengers to pay attention, informing them that there are magical creatures ahead along the railway and that the carriage may experience shaking, but that the train has already passed the dangerous section and is operating normally. Yu comments that it is a good thing they made it through and that they will soon arrive in Longyan, while his sister says that classes will start soon so he should study hard. Suddenly, the subway begins to shake violently and people ask what is happening. A voice asks for attention, saying that there is a group of three-eyed giant monkeys ahead, a type of community magical beast, and that they must protect lives and belongings. People panic and ask why there are still magical creatures, whether it was not said that they had already passed the dangerous area, questioning what they are supposed to do now and whether no one is going to act. The monkeys smash through the ceiling. The protagonist tells his sister to hide and not come out, and she asks what he's going to do, begging him not to go. Xing stands still until a fox strikes a monkey in the face, and a voice asks whether he is going to stand there like an idiot waiting for the banquet. It is Qin Yanran, daughter of the master of the Azure Sky Guild, who also says that if he does not want to lose his life, he should take a step back. Qin releases her lightning power. Yu checks the data and realizes it is a three-tailed thunder fox. The protagonist watches her and recognizes her, while a voice says that a beast master has arrived and that it seems they are saved. Xing wonders if they really are saved and tells everyone to evacuate this carriage immediately, thinking that three-eyed giant monkeys are community magical beasts and that there could not be only one. Yu orders Black Peak to assist that beast master. Qin continues defeating the monkeys and asks why there are so many magical creatures. Two monkeys are about to attack her from behind, so the protagonist orders his beast to advance, and the monkeys are bound by chains. Yanran says she did not expect him to also be a beastmaster and thanks him for saving her. Xing says it is nothing, and that in a situation like this, he believes any beastmaster would intervene. However, regarding her contracted beast, the system notifies that the beast state is suppressed, dispirited, and apathetic. The diagnostic analysis indicates post-traumatic stress disorder, and the treatment method is to crush the anima flower and steep it in boiling water. Xing asks whether lately her beast becomes agitated during battles, but turns apathetic afterward, and whether it often shows tendencies towards self-harm. Qin asks how he knew, and Yu replies that it is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, saying that he saw this case in the Animal Disease Guide and that the three-tailed thunder fox is the species most prone to contracting this condition, while thinking to himself whether he really cannot just say that he can see information about the beast she contracted. Qin says she knew it and that it is no wonder her beast has not been smiling much lately, so it really is sick, and declares that from now on, he is her little brother. From a distance, the protagonist's sister watches the two getting along so well and does not like it at all. She walks over and says that he is not anyone's little brother, only her younger brother. Yanran looks at her, hugs him, and asks if that is really the case. The sister pulls him away and Chin again says that from now on, he is her little brother. The two start arguing over whose brother he is. At the central square of the Azure Dragon Academy, a voice welcomes the new students. It is Lin Kang, Dean of Academic Affairs of the Academy, and beside him is Wang Dongsheng, the vice principal. They ask everyone to patiently wait for the principal. The protagonist thinks that after saying goodbye to Sister Chin, he finally managed to enroll safely without any major scares. A lion with a terrifying aura lets out a loud roar, shocking everyone, who say it is a violet flame lion, and standing atop it is Su Ruyan. The lion stops moving and Su jumps down to the ground. Lin asks her to say a few words to the new students. Xing wonders if she is not the woman who defeated the shadow demonic dragon before and thinks that he cannot believe she is the dean of the Azure Dragon Academy. Ruyan congratulates everyone on being admitted to the Azure Dragon Academy, but says she would like to remind them of something. Whether they come from prominent families or humble backgrounds, at the Azure Dragon Academy, everyone must obey the rules, especially the 8th school rule. She asks whether they have heard of the school rules and explains that rule number 8 states that if conflicts arise between students, regardless of who is right or wrong, they must be resolved through a duel in the arena, and the losing party must apologize to the winner. The protagonist thinks that Rule 8 of the school regulations may seem unreasonable, but that this is the only way to prevent privileged children from abusing their power and bullying the weak, allowing ordinary students to also find justice through their fists. 2 hours later, a boy asks if he is Yu and if they are in the same class, that monster whose spiritual power is almost equivalent to Sister Yez. The teacher tells everyone to sit down quickly, saying that class is about to begin. Everyone sits down, and the boy says that from now on, he will follow Yu. Chen clears his throat and asks for silence. The teacher introduces himself, saying that he will be their class instructor and hopes that everyone will achieve great accomplishments at the Azure Dragon Academy. He asks everyone to open the first chapter of the Beastmaster Codex and explains that they will first discuss theoretical knowledge about contracted beasts. The strength of a contracted beast mainly depends on 2 aspects. First, the evolution stage of the contracted beast. The currently known stages, from lowest to highest, are initial body, mature body, complete body, transcendent body, and king beast body. Second, the quality of the contracted beast's bloodline. The recorded contracted beast bloodlines from inferior to superior are low quality upward, and beasts contracted with higher quality bloodlines will have a suppressive effect on those of lower quality. In addition, the attributes of contracted beasts will also display counter-suppression phenomena. For example, the inverse relationships among the 5 most common contracted beast attributes, wood, metal, water, fire, and earth, are: wood restrains earth, earth restrains water, water restrains fire, fire restrains metal, and metal restrains wood. Besides these 5 basic attributes, other attributes can also mutate and accumulate, such as the sand attribute and the lightning attribute. He says he will not list the others one by one. Meanwhile, the protagonist is sleeping in class and ends up getting struck by the teacher, who says that he is quite capable of sleeping during his lesson, and asks what the weakness of the celestial demonic lizard is, stating that if he cannot answer, he can pack up and leave. Chen asks again what the weakness of the celestial demonic lizard is, and Xing answers that it is the venom sac located on its abdomen. The teacher asks in what areas ice crocodiles usually live, and Yu replies that they live in the Frostfall Lake region, in the south of the Dragonland, and in cold water waterfalls beneath glaciers. Chen decides to test him again and asks that if he encounters a heaven-rending, demonic, devouring tiger in the wild, how he should react. Yu answers that he would hold his identification card in his mouth, then find a shaded place and lie down. The teacher asks why, and the protagonist replies that it is because the heaven-rending, demonic, devouring tiger is a king beast body, a mutant beast at the king beast body level. Only beastmasters of 6 stars or higher have any chance against it. If new beastmasters encounter a heaven-rending, demonic, devouring tiger in the wild, there is only one outcome: elimination. Therefore, holding the identification card in the mouth makes it easier for the family to recover the body, and lying in a shaded place can prevent the corpse from decomposing. The teacher says that this answer deserves full marks, and asks how he knew how to answer questions from later chapters. Xing replies that it is because he has already finished studying the remaining material. The other students in the class ask how they are supposed to live, and what kind of monstrous genius this is. Chen asks the classmates to study individually for now and tells Yu to accompany him. They leave the classroom and the protagonist apologizes, saying that he promises never to sleep in his class again. The teacher replies that this is not about that and explains that he completed an entire semester of theoretical classes in less than half a lesson. Xing says that this is because he teaches very well. Chen tells him not to be so careless and says that since he has completed the theoretical courses, he will move on to more advanced content. He hands him the Azure Dragon Academy library card and explains that with this card, he can freely enter and exit the Azure Dragon library at any time and enjoy the benefit of borrowing books for free, saying that for now, there is nothing more to teach him. In the Azure Dragon Academy library, someone is holding a book in their hands. It is Yu reading Beastmaster Evaluation. Wang Yan, the son of Vice Principal Wang Dongsheng, walks in and declares that today the Azure Dragon Academy belongs to him, ordering everyone to leave and telling the girls to stay and read with him. The three girls tremble in fear and beg to be spared. The protagonist closes his book and says it is too noisy. Then Xing throws the book. Wang asks who that is, and the companion beside him answers that it is that troublesome guy over there. Xing asks whether bullying girls is not shameful. Yan asks who he is and why he is trying to play the hero. One of the girls tells him to leave quickly, saying that Yan is the son of Vice Principal Wang Dongsheng and they cannot afford to offend him. Yu replies that so he has a vice principal father, no wonder he is so arrogant. Wang says it is good that he knows and that if he knows what is good for him, he should kneel and apologize. The protagonist strikes him between the legs and says he will only apologize in his dreams. The companions beside him ask if he is all right. Yan, fallen on the ground, asks whether he does not know who he is and how he dares to mess with him, saying he will make sure he does not leave the library and that today he will show who is in charge of the Azure Dragon Academy. Someone approaches and says that is quite an arrogant tone. It is Su, who also remarks that she did not know he was the one in charge of the Azure Dragon Academy. Wang wonders how she found out so quickly. Royan says she already understands what happened and that since the two have a conflict, it should be resolved according to school rule number 8. The losing party must apologize to the winning party. Students comment that Yan's contracted beast is a heaven-rending 6-clawed leopard with a legendary quality bloodline and ask whether Yu can win. A voice announces for them to prepare for the start of the match. Both sides must enter the arena. The protagonist asks if that is really so and says that then he will wait for the apology. The match officially begins, the leopard is summoned, and the system notifies its attributes. Xing thinks it is even a dual attribute contracted beast and says it is time to make a statement. Blackfang is also summoned, releasing an absurd aura. People look on and say that in terms of appearance, the heaven-rending 6-clawed leopard has completely lost. In the VIP seats, Su wonders why she has never seen Yu's contracted beast before, an evolved version of the Stormhound, and how Yu managed that. Wang orders his beast. The leopard unleashes its power and the wolf uses a serpentine movement, charging rapidly toward the enemy. The leopard lands a solid hit. The wolf cries out in pain and retreats. The leopard tries to strike again, but this time the wolf manages to dodge, and the protagonist wonders whether attribute suppression is truly unavoidable. Then the leopard opens its huge mouth, releases tremendous power, and freezes the wolf. Yan starts laughing and says it will not be long before the beast freezes to the point of elimination inside. Everyone waits to see what Xing will do next. Yu asks if that is so and orders Blackfang to use Night Step. The wolf disappears from within the ice. Su, together with Chen, watching closely, wonders whether the infernal storm wolf actually possesses a third attribute. Yan asks where it went and realizes it has turned into a shadow. No wonder the ice could not freeze Blackfang. Then the wolf charges from behind Wang, but the leopard blocks it. The protagonist says to let him show what they are capable of and orders Blackfang to use Silent Claw. Intense power is released toward the leopard and Yan becomes irritated, calling his beast an idiot and saying he ordered it to counterattack. Silent Claw is a dark attribute skill. After hitting an opponent, it causes a continuous 3-second silence effect. Xing says to end this battle. The wolf opens its mouth and releases a terrifying power, striking the leopard head-on and defeating it. The winner is Yu. Everyone who was cheering for him celebrates. Wang kneels and says it is impossible. Someone approaches him and says he lost. It is Su, who also states that according to school rules, he must apologize and that this farce will end. Yan, grinding his teeth, apologizes. Ruyan says that Yu performed excellently in this match and that he is the second student to impress her. Wang, seething, thinks to just wait, he will pay dearly for this. Su says she is looking forward to seeing his performance in the freshman ranking tournament 3 days from now. The protagonist thanks her for the praise and asks who was the first to impress her. Ryan replies that it was the genius girl whose spiritual power exceeded the 1,000 mark. Xing thinks it is her again since he heard about her during the entrance examination. Su says that she also values talent, so she accepts this spatial ring as a reward for winning the match. A ring. Yu realizes that it is a spatial ring capable of storing anything, a high-tech item created to store objects. It can hold food, supplies, and crystal cores of monsters obtained on the battlefield that beast tamers often need to carry, offering great portability, and he says he will accept it respectfully, thanking her afterward. Later, at the Azure Dragon Academy harbor, the protagonist thinks that his sister must be getting impatient at home and that he needs to return quickly. He walks on and a girl ends up bumping into him. Xing asks if she is all right and the child replies that she is. Yu tells her to be more careful next time and that she should head home soon. The child says she has nowhere to go and needs him to take her in. At the family apartment, the sister says she just moved to Dragon Concealment City today and asks whether he dares to kidnap a child. The protagonist tells her to listen to the explanation. The sister asks what there is to explain, saying the girl does not belong there. A little later, Xing explains that this is how it is. Due to a monster phobia, Shimeng is destined not to become a beastmaster, so she ran away from home after being bullied by her family, and he brought her back to cure the monster phobia. The child asks sister Ruo Shui if she can take her in, saying she does not want to go home. Ruo Shui says she can stay, but her brother must remember never to choose a woman from the Ye family. At the Azure Dragon Academy, Yu wonders why his sister suddenly said that. A boy approaches and asks what he is talking about not choosing the Ye family, saying that the director stated the lesson is about defining battlefield roles and asking what a battlefield role is. The protagonist apologizes for the distraction and explains battlefield roles. Beast tamers emphasize teamwork, and different divisions of labor lead to different roles. Archer role: the beast has the long-range attack abilities, capable of frequently weakening enemies from a distance. Mage role: the beast excels at large area control skills, able to deal significant damage in team battles. Tank role: the beast has strong defense and recovery abilities, acting as a meat shield in team fights and protecting companions. Execution role: the beast has extreme mobility and finishing capability, responsible for entering late to eliminate weakened enemies. Support role: the beast has enhancement abilities providing beneficial effects to the team. The boy is impressed and asks which role he thinks his beast, the Storm Butterfly, is most suitable for. Chen asks for no talking during class and says that now, in order of enrollment number, they should summon their beasts one by one and participate in evaluations, which will determine battlefield roles. Song Hu, battlefield role, tank. Wu Sheng Yu, battlefield role, mage. Next, Yu. The professor says the first test is attack power and asks if he is ready. The protagonist tells them to begin. The wolf releases intense flames. Critical effect triggers a triple critical hit, 6,371. A voice announces a triple critical hit and says the other cannot even trigger a critical. Chen thinks that normally the initial ultimate skill attack value of a beast ranges between 500 and 1,500, and he did not expect the Infernal Storm Wolf to deal a triple critical, exceeding 2,000. Xing thinks the attack power test is complete and that he should be suited for the execution role. The professor asks to continue, wanting to see the upper limit of his potential. In the range test, the protagonist orders Black Fang to use Infernal Fire. Wu beside him is amazed and says the range must be at least 800 meters, asking whether he would be an archer. In the defense test, Xing also performs well. Wu comments that he even blocked the attack of Director Chen's transcendent beasts, the ice-armored battle turtle. In the control test, he also performs well, and Wu asks whether he plans to switch to mage. In the buff test, the professor says that according to simulations and big data analysis, any beast within 10 meters of the Infernal Stormwolf will have its battle intent increased by 30%, attack power by 10%, and movement speed by 10%. Wu asks what exactly his battlefield role is, saying that any of these roles could work and that it is very difficult to choose. Chen says that in addition to those 5 roles, there is a special role that suits you, called Omni Pro. Wu asks what this so-called Omni Pro is. The professor explains that if a Beastmaster's contracted beast excels in all positions, then that Beastmaster earns the title of Omni Pro. Clearly, Yu is the only Omni Pro in the class. The protagonist smiles excitedly, and the students ask how he manages to be so incredible. Xing replies that it is not exactly like that. Chen tells him not to get too excited yet. Although Omni Pros are uncommon, they are not entirely unheard of. The data for this year's freshmen are not yet complete, but for now they only know that Yu from their class is an Omni Pro. The second-year Omni Pros are Ye and Han. The third-year ones are Murong Qingyang and Li Xuancheng, and he tells them to keep up the good work. On the street, the protagonist walks along thinking that classes are over and that he will buy some Beastmaster nutritional supplements to prepare for the freshman ranking tournament. Someone steps in front of him and asks where he thinks he is going. Xing asks who they are. The young man asks if he does not even know the Black Tiger Guild and says that he is asking for trouble. Wang asks why the guild leader is wasting time with him and orders them to break one of his legs to see if he will still be so arrogant. The guild leader says that he dared to provoke the young master and that he is very unlucky. Yu says that everyone there is a 3- or 4-star Beastmaster and asks whether bullying a 1-star Beastmaster like him is not going too far. Yan says that he himself is just relying on his own power to bully people and asks what Yu can do about it. The guild leader tells them to calm down and says that he will deal with him immediately. The guild leader summons the Thunder Tiger and orders the attack. The protagonist also summons his wolf. The two beasts begin exchanging blows and the wolf knocks the tiger to the ground. The guild leader thinks that the young master never said this kid's beast was so strong and wonders how it is possible that an adult beast is on the same level as his transcendent level Thunder Tiger, saying that he will see whether this 1-star novice is really that strong. The other guild members also summon their tigers and take up attacking positions. Then someone approaches and says that in that case, they will have to see whether the Black Tiger Guild is really stronger. They look over in shock, and it is Qin, who also says she wants to see whether the Azure Sky Guild is superior. Xing feels excited when he sees her. The Black Tiger Guild members panic and say the situation is serious, realizing that they are surrounded, thinking that the Azure Sky Guild is the second highest ranked beast tamer guild in Longyin City, and that not even the powerful Hurricane Guild would dare rashly clash with it. They ask what brought her there. Qin says that if she had not happened to pass by, she would never have imagined what the guild leader planned to do to her dear little brother. The guild leader asks if she is not an only child. Yanran replies that he is her sworn younger brother, and that anyone who bullies him is turning against her herself and against the Azure Sky Guild. The guild leader, frightened, says that this was all a misunderstanding and that it was all the doing of that boy who hired them to harass her brother. Wang, trembling, says that he had no intention of attacking him. Qin says that she knows how to handle this. The guild leader orders his men to beat up Yan. At the Azure Sky Guild, Yanran asks how he ran into those people. The protagonist replies that he went out to buy Beastmaster nutrients, and who would have thought he would be so unlucky? Qin asks about Beastmaster nutrients and says that he should have come to her, since the Azure Sky Guild handles all of that. If he wants to buy nutritional supplements in the future, he just needs to tell her, and she will give them to him for free. Xing says he did not expect her to be so impressive after all. She is the only daughter of the leader of the Azure Sky Guild. Then Yanran walks with him around the area and explains that this is the Azure Sky Guild's training base, equipped with the most advanced training equipment, capable of helping Beastmasters improve the efficiency of learning combat skills. That area is the recreation zone, where beast tamers can relax after completing missions, with many entertainment options such as golf and saunas. Over there is the conference room on the top floor of the building. When there are important missions, meetings are held there to formulate detailed operational plans. And that is the medical area with advanced medical equipment and a complete stock of medicinal materials. More importantly, the beast doctors there have exceptionally high medical standards and can provide the most advanced technical services for injured beastmasters. The protagonist wonders about beast doctors and asks whether he can join her guild as a beast doctor. Qin hesitates to speak until someone says no. It is Liu Yue, vice leader of the Azure Sky Guild, who also states that without even mentioning who he is or how he got there, given his age and qualifications, becoming a beast doctor of the guild makes no sense at all. Yanran says that he is the one she mentioned before, the person who helped her subdue the three-eyed giant monkey on the train, and that he is also her sworn younger brother. Just then, someone runs in and reports that several severely injured beast tamers have just been sent to the infirmary, that there are not enough staff members, and asks what they should do. Liu tells everyone not to panic, saying they should first transfer personnel from other branch guilds and also go to other guilds to ask for help. The young man says it is already too late because those beast tamers are bleeding heavily and will not last much longer. The protagonist says that he will handle it. At the Azure Sky Guild, doctors move beasts on stretchers and say that the Azure Clear Lynx on operating table number 3 is suffering from severe hemorrhaging, asking everyone to make way. A voice begs the doctor to save his beast. The doctor says there has been excessive plasma loss and that they need to stop the bleeding first. The hemostatic forceps are not working. They prepare medication, but it is still useless and the bleeding will not stop at all. Conventional methods cannot stop the bleeding. Xing observes the Azure Clear Lynx, its attributes and injuries, and says that the wound was caused by a golden needle poisonous queen bee. That viscous fluorescent green fluid is its exclusive venom, which prevents the wound from healing. There is a way to stop the beast bleeding, but he does not know whether they will trust him. The man says that at a moment like this, they have to trust him, even if they do not want to, and that he can help stop the bleeding quickly. Yu says they must grind a stalk of celestial spirit herb together with purple ying flower to produce 20 grams of reserved medicinal liquid, then add a transcendent grade poisonous demonic beast crystal core and boil it for 5 minutes. The doctor says that the herbs mentioned are highly toxic to varying degrees, and asks whether that is not like rubbing salt into the wound. The protagonist tells them to immediately follow his prescription to obtain the medicine. Otherwise, if they miss the best moment, this Azure Clear will definitely lose its life. The beast's owner tells them not to hesitate and to go get the medicine. 5 minutes later, the medicine arrives. Xing puts on gloves, opens the medicine, and begins applying it to the beast's wound. The beast opens its huge mouth, but the bleeding stops. The owner is extremely excited that its life has been saved, and Yu asks the vice leader whether she is satisfied with his performance. Liu replies that his performance completely exceeded her expectations, and that she was far too presumptuous before. Now she must formally invite him to join the Azure Sky Guild as a specially appointed pharmacist. The protagonist says he would be delighted. Later, elsewhere, Ruo asks whether he means that he came back so late because he signed a contract to become a specially appointed pharmacist for the Azure Sky Guild. Xing replies that yes. Ruo says she can see that he has found a sworn sister and forgotten his own sister. Yu says that is not true. The child comes over and asks what a specially appointed pharmacist is and whether it can be eaten. The protagonist replies that, of course, after becoming a specially appointed pharmacist of the Azure Sky Guild, he will receive a salary. This weekend, he can treat everyone to a nice dinner, and the child becomes very excited. In Wang's room, he is lying there, furious at Xing. Dong calls him useless trash, and Yan says he must take revenge. Shang says that he is his son and asks how, even so, he lost to a clown from a small city in an arena fight, saying that he not only disgraced himself but also disgraced the entire family. Wang tells him to stop scolding him, saying that Guy has already contracted 3 types of beasts and also has the backing of the Azure Sky Guild, fearing that he will have no chance to take revenge. Dong says that they truly cannot afford to offend him and asks whether If that boy were to suffer an accident during the Yunnan mountain trial and lose his life at the hands of a demonic beast, it would mean that it has nothing to do with them. At Yunnan Mountain, Dong says that today is the day of the mountain trial for all new students, and that this trial will be broadcast live across the entire network. The bracelets they are wearing can monitor in real time the number of demonic beasts hunted and record battle footage. They must hunt 1 to 10 demonic beasts to obtain a C rank, 11 to 30 to obtain a B rank, 51 to 80 to obtain an S rank, and more than 80 demonic beasts to obtain an S+ rank. Sue says that before the trial begins, she must announce the most versatile students among this year's new entrants. Nearby students say they heard that last year's top scorer in the Yunnan Mountain trial was Ye. Sheng says that after the positioning test and evaluation, there are a total of 3 students with outstanding performance among this year's freshmen. Murong Yangshuo, the eldest son of the Murong family, Xin, the Murong family's second daughter, and Yu from Class 3. The protagonist wonders about the Murong family and thinks that the Dragon Nation has 4 great beast tamer families: the Ye family, the Li family, the Murong family, and the Shangguan family, questioning again whether it could really be the Murong family. At the Azure Dragon Academy broadcast station, a man holding a microphone says that he is the host and commentator of this trial. Sue asks how many demonic beasts he thinks Yu will hunt, and Sheng replies that praising him for 50 would already be excessive. Chen says that is impossible and that with this boy's talent, he will surely put on a show and hunt at least 50 demonic beasts. Ruyan asks whether they might all be wrong and says she believes he will break Ye's record and create a miracle. The host announces that the new students have entered in an orderly manner and that the trial officially begins. In less than half an hour, Lin from Class 2 has taken down a short-tailed bear, and the total number of demonic beasts hunted has surpassed 10. He congratulates Sun Tianhao from Class 5, who has already hunted more than 20 demonic beasts. Most astonishing of all, with only 1 hour into the trial, Murong from Class 1 has already hunted 43 demonic beasts. As expected of the Murong family prodigy, Murong Yangshuo's white-maned griffin is indeed the only beast with super abilities in this trial. Its spatial penetration ability not only instantly shortens the distance to a demonic beast, but also grants a piercing effect to any attack it launches. Although the Silver Healing Serpent is a beast with exceptionally powerful recovery abilities, it so happens that the white-maned griffin's abilities neutralize that effect, making the prey's fate too horrific to behold. Yangshuo tells Little White not to toy with it anymore and to simply remove the demonic beast's crystal core. The 3 top freshmen occupy the top 3 rankings, and the host says that after watching his performance, they will take a look at Jin's. Her beast is a bone-winged bat beast with a legendary bloodline and is also the only undead-type creature in this trial. The Plasma-Thirsty Lion is a second-level transcendent demonic beast with an epic bloodline. Its physical attacks have a 5 times critical hit effect, making it extremely powerful, but it encountered the bone-winged bat beast, and today will be its end. If the student manages to eliminate this Plasma-Thirsty Lion, the total number of hunts will reach 51. Murong says it seems his sister has the potential to take first place in this competition, and asks whether anyone has already surpassed her. A minute ago, Jin had the bat unleash its incredible power and thought she had secured another elimination until she notices something. The wolf defeats the lion. On the mountain, after the protagonist eliminates the lion, he thanks her for that elimination. Shin, inwardly, is consumed by fury. The host says that a dramatic scene has unfolded. This guy is truly crafty. Murong guarded against this day and night, yet still could not guard against Xing. That old, cunning fox Yu stole Shin's kill and climbed to first place. The situation changes when a 3-eyed demonic ant appears out of nowhere, and even from the other side of the broadcast screen, one can feel the competitive spirit between them. The host asks who will ultimately defeat the 3-eyed demonic ant. Student Xing makes the first move. The 3-eyed demonic ant's carapace is notoriously thick and hard, but the infernal fire of the infernal windwolf ignores armor, dealing true damage to the enemy. The protagonist continues issuing orders to his beast, and the wolf uses the skill Infernal Roar. The host says that Jin has made her move. The sonic wind blades of the bone-winged bat beast interrupt the infernal windwolf's finishing blow, and then it releases Bone Spirit Cold Fire, successfully eliminating the 3-eyed demonic ant. The crystal falls to the ground, Shin picks it up, and Xing says he did not expect her to hold such a grudge. The host comments that things are getting interesting. At this moment, Yu and Shin are tied for first place. Less than 1 hour remains until the end of the trial, and he asks who will secure first place. Meanwhile, in the test, the protagonist locks onto his target and tells his beast they are ready. Then the wolf enters an attack stance. The commentator states that Jin is now locked in a deadlock with Xing and has just stolen another of his eliminations, as if wherever he goes, she follows to steal his prey. In the final half hour, Shin has consolidated her first place position by stealing Yu's kills. The protagonist says that although it was wrong of him to steal her prey before, does she really need to keep chasing him like this? The host asks whether Shin will be able to extend her lead and whether Xing can catch up, saying they will wait and see. Yu states that next time he will not hold back and that she should be careful. The host asks whether that means he was not using his full strength just now, and remarks that there are less than half an hour left, questioning whether he can really reclaim first place. So Chen also says that the students he previously guided, even the talented ones, had only around 1,500 spiritual power when their beasts first reached maturity. He, on the other hand, already has spiritual power that directly exceeds 2,500, and Chen approves his participation in the 2-star Beast Tamer assessment. In the Plasma Mist Canyon, a helicopter moves through the area. Someone opens the door and it is Xing, who also asks whether this is the assessment site. Su thinks that they have arrived at the entrance of the Plasma Mist Gorge. The 2-star Beast Tamer assessment is about to begin, and they must make the final preparations. Chen thinks that there is a large number of demonic beasts in the Plasma Mist Canyon. If he encounters a situation he cannot control, he should not push himself too hard and must send a distress signal at any time. Yu says that he is ready. Royan says that, to be considered as having passed the assessment, it is enough to successfully reach the exit on the other side, starting from one of the canyon entrances. The 2-star Beast Tamer assessment officially begins. Then the protagonist jumps out of the helicopter. In the monitoring room, Chen says that he has entered the Plasma Mist Gorge. For the candidate to cross the Plasma Mist Gorge, he first needs to fight the Iron Jaw crocodiles. Next, he must escape from the Plasma Demon spiders entrenched in the Demon Cave. However, among the Plasma Demon spiders, several have already reached the mature stage 3, and Chen wonders whether he will really be able to handle this. Moreover, due to the heavy rain last night, many have emerged in the Crimson Water Swamp. Elsewhere on the ground, there are many Iron Jaw crocodiles. Xing jumps down there and immediately takes the opportunity to observe their attributes. Chen, startled, says that these Iron Jaw crocodiles are all early-stage demonic beasts. As long as he summons the Hell Wolf, he will be out of danger. Then Yu summons his elf. A light is released and the elf is summoned. Chen, surprised, asks whether he summoned Freya instead of Black Claw. Su asks whether this is his second contracted beast. The elf uses Holy Light Protection. Chen observes her data and says that he is truly a phenomenon. He contracted an angelic beast of mythic bloodline. This should not be happening. The Hidden Dragon City has not seen an angel-type beast for many years, and he asks where this kid got such a beast. Ryan says that she heard that he bought a water elemental spirit at a beast shop 2 days ago, and that it might be that. The instructor says absolutely not, that water elemental spirits have inferior bloodlines, whereas Holy Light angelic beasts possess pure angelic bloodlines. Su tells him not to forget that the Hell Wolf, in the beginning, was just a stormhound of inferior bloodline. Chen says that he always turns what people consider impossible into possible. He is a true beast tamer. Meanwhile, in the fight, there are many crocodiles. Then the elf attacks, striking several of them with a single blow. Chen says that a single move instantly eliminated the Iron Jaw crocodile. Bloodline suppression. As expected of an angel-type beast, the mythic quality bloodline truly lives up to its reputation. The protagonist says to cross through the swamp. Then the elf touches him, picks him up in her arms, and Xing, not understanding, asks what she's doing, telling her to put him down immediately. Yu becomes very embarrassed. Then they stop and sense a dense demonic aura. Spiders begin to appear with an absurd aura. The protagonist tells his beast to be careful. Freya steps forward, blocks the web attack, and releases blazing flames. Then a larger spider approaches. Xing observes its attributes and wonders whether it is a plasma demon spider, saying that plasma demon spiders are pack creatures. The number of plasma demon spiders in this cave should not be less than 20. The spider gets closer and closer, and Chen says that this Holy Light Angel beast, even at its initial stage, can ignore the level difference and deal damage to a plasma demon spider at an advanced stage. The spider tries to strike him, but Yu narrowly dodges and calls for Black Claw. The wolf is summoned with a startling aura, and both of his beasts are now summoned. Su tells him not to get carried away by the battle because the criterion to pass the assessment is to reach the finish line, not to eliminate demonic beasts. The protagonist orders Black Claw to use Infernal Roar. The wolf releases incredible power, and the spider also attacks, trying with all its might to hit him, but the wolf manages to dodge. Then the spider spits webbing from its mouth and hits his leg, binding it in place. The spider also shoots webbing at the other side, and yet another spider appears. Xing tells Freya to use Holy Light Protection on Black Claw, spin, and release the Infernal Black Lotus. The elf then uses her skill, allowing the wolf to break free and recover. Black Claw begins to unleash incredible power and starts slaughtering the spiders. Yu asks whether there are 25 plasma demon spiders and if that is all. Suddenly, rocks begin to fall and the area starts to shake. The protagonist senses a terrifying aura, realizing it is the Spider Chief, the aura of a demonic beast in full form. Chen tells him to retreat immediately. The heavy rain from last night caused a plasma demon spider to evolve, and he cannot win. Xing asks about withdrawing and what about the assessment. Chen replies that they can redo the assessment next time, that he just needs to maintain his level and will certainly pass. Yu asks about retaking the test another day and says that would be a huge waste of time. In his 2-star assessment, if gods block him, he will kill gods. If Buddhas block him, he will kill Buddhas. Freya releases her attack together with the wolf, but the spider remains unharmed. The instructor says he cannot act recklessly and that they will retrieve him immediately. The hidden fox also says he is right and that he cannot be reckless. With his current strength, it is impossible to eliminate it. The protagonist says this is interesting and that he wants to pass the 2-star beast tamer assessment. He wants to conquer and kill this demonic beast and, more importantly, test his own limits. Dailu says that he truly is a terrifying lunatic. The spider begins to make the surrounding environment even denser, and Xing tells Black Claw to sneak around behind it and use silent claws. The wolf hides while the spider is distracted, unleashing its attack. Yu tells Freya to protect him while Black Claw attacks. The wolf strikes from behind, injuring the spider. The protagonist worries about his beast as it is blasted away, slamming into their barrier with a huge impact. Xing crashes against the wall together with his 2 beasts. The spider emits a sound. Yu stands up and asks if it is mocking him, saying that this is to be expected of a demonic creature with a human face, and asks what it is so proud of. The spider observes and attacks again, but the protagonist narrowly dodges and tells the wolf to get him out of there because this spider web is poisonous. A voice says that if he keeps insisting like this, it will not work. He needs to think of a solution. His life is gradually decreasing, and the spider has a wound on its back. Xing thinks that the wound is not deep, but that the spider web being expelled is definitely not as tough as before, and wonders if this has something to do with the spider silk. He says that Black Claw is injured, that it is impossible for them to keep running, and asks the elf to take him away. Freya picks him up, and Yu says that the life of the cavern demon eye spider has dropped again, and that the filthy spider has found a way to deal with him, telling Black Claw to spit at it. The wolf spits, hitting the spider on the forehead. The spider then begins to attack. The protagonist orders Black Claw to use shadow stealth and counterattack at random. Sure enough, the cavern demon eye spider is exhausting its own vital plasma by releasing webbing, and when the last strand of silk in its body is depleted, it will be like a candle in the wind. There is no need to risk his life fighting it. He only needs to irritate it however he wants. The spider keeps swinging its head from side to side as it watches Black Claw move rapidly until the wolf leaps toward it. The spider releases its web and ends up trapping the wolf's foot again. It attacks and wounds him, but Black Claw stands back up, and Xing tells him not to hold back, to release his demonic power, and to cast Holy Light Protection on Black Claw to remove the negative status. Lightning begins to crackle around Black Claw and rain starts to fall. Chen asks whether they are still not going to take action. Su says to wait a little longer, because he has already found a way to break through, and the instructor asks whether he and the others can hold on. Later, still in the same place, 7 hours have passed and they are still fighting. The protagonist thinks that the spider has lost 90% of its health, and that the color of its silk has faded. It cannot injure Black Claw, who is strengthened by demonic power and holy light protection. If they persist, it is doomed to be finished. All living beings have the will to survive, and he wonders why, even after losing so much life, it still shows no intention of avoiding the battle. Is it pure hatred, or is there some treasure inside? The spider begins to gather its power in webs, releasing an incredible force. Xing tells Black Claw to use Infernal Roar. The wolf unleashes its attack. Yu says there is not much spider silk left and that now is the chance. Black Claw releases flames and the Infernal Fire Lotus surges toward the spider. The spider is already very weak and keeps releasing webbing, but the elf defends them. The protagonist says not to worry about him and instead switch from defense to offense, finish it in one go, and use the Infernal Fire Lotus one last time. The wolf releases searing flames toward the spider, knocking it down. Xing says they did it and congratulates Black Talon, saying it also performed excellently, and adds that he will take a look inside the cave because there is certainly something good in there. They lower their guard and the instructor tells them to leave immediately. Yu says he has already defeated the cavern demon spider, and Chen replies that even if the cavern demon eye spider has been finished, there is still a chance it can move for a while. Yu looks back and asks what he said. Then the spider lying on the ground suddenly stands up and attacks. The protagonist realizes that the only exit is blocked by it and tells them to hide in the beast space. The elf stares at the spider and rapidly rushes toward it, releasing her power and striking it head on. Freya keeps chasing and attacking until a tremendous explosion occurs. Xing, shocked, asks if she just learned a new skill on her own and says she is incredible. Then Yu notices something shining and says he found it, asking whether this is what the cavern demon spider was desperately guarding, and whether they know what kind of seed this is. It is the precursor of the celestial soul vine beast, a plant-type beast with an ancestral bloodline. The protagonist asks whether this is most likely of phantom god quality, and says that such a powerful bloodline must be extremely difficult to cultivate, asking whether they know how to cultivate this seed. The fox says that naturally they do, reminding them that the cultivation conditions are quite complex. Apparently, it needs to be watered with foxtail grass dew, firefly magical nectar, and fertilized with divine beast dung. Xing asks whether this seed is harder to raise than a spoiled rich girl, and says that it is at least an emperor-level beast, the kind that would make the Dragon Kingdom's empress grind her teeth in hatred. A big shot like her should know many beast gods. The fox asks whether he wants her to bend down and pick up the dung. Yu replies that he does not and wants her to ask. Dailu says that asking is also out of the question. Inside the helicopter, the instructor asks whether he is alright, and the protagonist replies that he is. 2 weeks later in Four Spirit City, Xing is sitting in the stands and says that, as expected of a major national-level competition, it is truly exciting. Murong approaches and says he arrived so early. Yu greets him with good morning and says his sister looks prettier. Murong spits out what he was drinking and gets very irritated, asking what he just called his sister. The protagonist replies that he gave her a nickname. Yang asks about writing, and when he wrote his sister's name, saying that calling her that is a vulgar nickname, and that if he does not beat him up today, he will not be himself. Xin tells him to sit down. Xing asks how she has been lately and how the progress of her beast's enhancement is. Xin replies that her first beast broke through the barrier and evolved into a mature form, and that her second beast awakened the lightning attribute. Yang, indignant, wonders whether his sister is willingly talking to another man, and even accepted his nickname, and thinks that girls grow up and can no longer be kept at home. His sister always held a grudge back when he called her by her childhood nickname and ignored him for days. But now this guy calls her that and she tolerates it. He says that this world is too crazy, that the mouse has become the cat's bridesmaid, that his sister has found the ideal man, and that her elbow is turning outward. Yu asks what her brother is rambling about, and Xin tells him not to mind him. The protagonist asks who today's opponent is. Xin replies that she does not know yet because the draw results have not been announced. Someone approaches and says that the results have already been released. It is Su, who also says that the first opponent is the White Tiger Academy and that, no matter what, they must completely defeat them in today's individual matches, crushing them thoroughly. Someone approaches and asks why she is so worked up, and whether she is really that afraid of losing to the White Tiger Academy. Ryan asks why she is not returning to the reserved seats and instead coming to the Azure Dragon Academy's territory, and whether there are not reports on her phone. The principal asks whether she is not there to see the ace of this generation, saying that she heard he can fight fully evolved beasts and simultaneously control beasts with both infernal and angelic attributes, just like that man. Su becomes irritated and says that seeing it live is the best option. She admits that he has a bit of talent, but that he is just another Ye, and asks whether, just because he gained a small advantage, she really thinks that student is that strong. The protagonist thinks that it is said that Ju and Su have been fierce rivals since elementary school. Regardless of academic performance or family background, they always try to outdo each other. Chen says that the Empress is arriving. Ju tells them to wait a moment, that she will soon make her academy pack up and leave, and Ruyan says she will go take a look, asking the students to follow to the stage to greet the Empress. The roof opens, the mist disperses, and someone approaches. People say that the Empress has arrived, the most beautiful and powerful of the Dragon Kingdom. This is Shangguan Lan, Empress of the Dragon Kingdom. She approaches. Xing observes and thinks that this is the most powerful beast tamer of the Dragon Kingdom. The aura is truly terrifying. The Empress lands on the ground and everyone bows before her. Yu is shocked to see that she bears 11-star emblems, an Empress Beast Tamer, above all 10-star Beast Tamers. The gap between himself and her is probably not just a few stars. Beside her is a dragon. The protagonist observes its attributes and thinks that, as expected, the gap is enormous, beyond the detection range of the demon god eye. Xing wonders how the fox received orders from the Empress to be hunted and still survived, and thinks that she is not unhappy to have met him, because without him, she would have already lost her life around 800 times. Dailu says that, although what he says is harsh, she can only accept it. Su thinks that the 7-colored sacred Qilin should not be Shangguan Lan's only beast. The fox says that of course not, she has even more powerful beasts under her command. Energy begins to stir around the Empress, and the protagonist, surprised, wonders if this is dragon power and whether she has pure plasma dragons under her command. Pure plasma dragons have not been seen for hundreds of years. The fox replies that she does not know, and Xing thinks that, according to historical records, only pure plasma dragons, pure plasma phoenixes, and pure plasma silens possess creator-grade bloodlines. In terms of strength, dragons are the strongest, followed by phoenixes, and then Kylans. And he wonders why it is the dragons that are being targeted for elimination. If pure plasma dragons are truly extinct, where did this woman contract a dragon? Xing thinks that the dragon's tear is one of the 3 great treasures of the dragon clan, and that, indeed, the war to eliminate dragons was not so simple. The Empress says to begin the competition. Yang says that it does not matter if he loses the individual match. If he cannot win, there are still the other 2. Su says that, according to the draw results, he is up first. Yu says he guarantees the first victory. The announcer says that, on the right, the first competitor from White Tiger Academy is Lin Tianqi, son of Lin Xiang, master of the Sword Tiger Guild. In today's first match, representing Azure Dragon Academy on the left, the base genius, Yu. The protagonist summons his wolf. Xin asks whether the red sand python with sand attribute is not a natural counter to Black Claw's fire attribute. Yang replies that, in same-level battles, elemental affinity is even more important than bloodline suppression, and that he is in trouble this round. The commentator then announces the red sand python's desert burial and sand blade tornado. Xing orders Black Claw to use infernal roar. The wolf releases its power, plasma spraying everywhere. Lin says that with elemental suppression, he is doomed to lose. If he surrenders now, he can. Yu says that today's weather is a bit humid. There is no need to worry, the battle has just begun. That was just a warm-up. And now, he only needs 2 moves. Lin asks about 2 moves. The protagonist orders Black Claw to use Infernal Roar toward the sky. The wolf unleashes the skill upward. A voice asks whether he's trying to melt the sand and says that the infernal wolf's flames are not hot enough. The Empress smiles and says no. Her subordinate asks what he is trying to do. Shangguan Lan replies that he is trying to make use of the 7-colored, auspicious clouds he brought. Lin wonders what exactly he is trying to do, and whether it is rain. The python begins to act strangely and Lin tells it to stop immediately. Xing says it is already too late. He has lost his chance. Lin realizes that the sand is completely soaked. The red sand python buried within it can no longer use sand cyclones or quicksand burial. Then the wolf leaps forward, releasing flames and causing a massive explosion. The snake is burned alive, and an extremely loud sound rings out. The commentator says that he succeeded and turned the tables with just 2 moves, and that this artificial rain is truly incredible. The Empress says that his timing is precise and his mind is quite sharp. The subordinate reports that his background has been checked and no issues were found. Shangguan Lan says that, in that case, the first invitation letter to this year's Emperor Soul Training Camp should be given to him. The subordinate asks whether the first invitation is really going to that commoner, then says she understands. Yang says it was a beautiful move, ending the battle so easily and quickly. Shin says it was indeed a beautiful move as well. Su shouts that it was an outstanding performance and that she will definitely reward him when they return. The protagonist tells her not to forget about it when they do. The fox says she smells foxtail grass. Xing wonders whether foxtail grass is not found on the western frontier and whether Four Spirit City also has it. Jin asks whether he is not going to watch the next match. Yu replies that his individual match is over and there is nothing else to do, so he is going to the restroom. Shin says that she is up next. Yang asks whether he is flirting with his sister. The protagonist tells her to go ahead, that she will definitely win, and that he will silently support her behind the scenes. He apologizes but says he really has something to take care of and does not have time to watch the match right now. Shin says that after the match he must keep her company. Xing agrees, and the announcer declares that in the second match, Shin of Azure Dragon Academy, daughter of General Murong, will face Zhou of White Tiger Academy, son of the Lord of Huangyan City. In Four Spirit City, on Yueding Street, the place is full of people chatting and praising Zhou, and Yu wonders whether they are all there to welcome an army. At the front stands an elderly man together with a war rhinoceros, and the protagonist tells Dailu to look, thinking that he is an 8-star beast tamer and a beast emperor, with loyalty exceeding 100. How many life and death trials or final executions has he gone through? The fox says she knows, that they belong to the War Beast clan and love fighting, and that their 9-tailed fox clan has some grudges against them. With the surname Zhou, the only one who could be called City Lord is Zhou, stationed west of the 4 major cities on the Dragon Kingdom's border. Xing asks whether that is not the father of Zhou Ye, the one competing against Shin. Dailu says that foxtail grass grows in the ancient ice fields of the west, where a large number of demonic beasts reside, and since he is stationed in the west, he naturally has foxtail grass. Xing says she makes it sound so easy and asks whether she wants him to steal from an 8-star beast tamer. Then the protagonist notices something and wonders whether the limp in his gait could indicate illness, and observes that the rhinoceros has parasites in its ears and eyes. Xing approaches and says that his beast seems to be sick, and that there is a way to cure it. The old man asks whether his beast is sick, what makes him say that, and wonders whether, judging by his clothes, he is a beast tamer from Azure Dragon Academy, and about the same age as his son. How could he possibly know medicine? Yu says that he is a special pharmacist hired by the Sky Guild, and asks whether the beast often becomes lethargic and develops red spots all over its body, even skin ulcers whenever it rains. The old man is shocked and wonders whether he is absolutely right, saying that he returned this time precisely to treat his beast, but that with all due respect, he still cannot trust him. He asks why it is sick and whether this matches what other renowned doctors have said. The protagonist says it is simple. Then Xing plucks a small creature from the rhinoceros's body and tells him to look carefully, saying that this is the cause of the illness, shaman cancer. The old man praises his incredible insight. Over the years, he hired many famous physicians, yet none managed to completely cure the shaman wasting of the War Rhino Emperor. And since he dared to volunteer, he asks what kind of treatment he has. Yu asks him to go somewhere else, as he needs some medicinal ingredients. The old man invites him to his mansion, saying that whatever medicinal ingredients he needs, he can simply ask, and that afterward he will be willing to help with anything necessary. The protagonist thinks that it seems he can not only obtain foxtail grass, but also establish a valuable connection. At the Zhou Manor, Xing begins listing the ingredients: 15 grams of fallen silver petals, 20 grams of watercress, 25 grams of cocos from the Poria cocoa species. Add the exclusive secret formula and boil it down to create purple spirit essence. He also tells the Lord that this is purple spirit essence, specially formulated to treat shaman wasting. The liquid is for internal use and the residue for external application. It works quickly and has no side effects. And if there are any doubts, someone can test it first. The Lord says that he worries too much, that he has always trusted the people he works with, and that he will test it in practice. The Lord approaches his beast and tells it to drink it. The rhinoceros is lying on the ground asleep, and insects begin to crawl out of its skin. The Lord says that his beast has not slept this well in a long time. This medicine is incredible. Yu says that he knows what Lord Zhou is worried about, that all shaman effects on his beast will be removed, and that he can also give him the prescription, so that when he returns to Huangyan City, he can help treat the soldiers' beasts. The Lord thanks him and asks about the reward. The Lord asks whether foxtail grass is not an extremely valuable medicinal herb, and says that although demonic firefly flowers are difficult to obtain, it is not impossible. The protagonist says that he needs foxtail grass and also demonic firefly flowers, and that will be enough. The Lord asks him to stay for dinner tonight, saying they had a pleasant conversation and should have a drink. Xing says he slipped away quietly because by now his son should already have finished fighting his teammates. The Lord says that Qinglong and Baihu, the principals of the two academies, have been at odds for a long time, and that he has even heard about it. They will go together, and he himself also needs to pay his respects to Her Majesty. Later, in the battle, the announcer says that the competition is fierce. The duel between the two has already lasted a full hour, and there is still no winner. Yu, surprised, asks whether they are still fighting. The two stand facing each other. Zhou says that she is clearly at a disadvantage and asks why she persists with such stubbornness, saying she seems distracted from the start and asking what she is actually looking at. Xin wonders why her teammate has not returned yet, because if he knew she lost, she would be very embarrassed, and she needs to win so he can see it. The protagonist calls out to her and asks why she is still persisting, and whether her spiritual power will hold out. Xing notices that even her beast is not in good condition. Its spiritual energy is on the verge of exhaustion, which is not good news but not bad for either side, and that he can check the attributes of both beasts. This is her first beast. It seems she has already sent out her trump card. This girl's competitive personality is actually quite cute. Yu observes the two beasts and thinks it is no wonder the fight has lasted so long. The two attack together, loud noises erupt until Zhou's beast stops moving. The bird continues advancing and attacks them, and people begin to say that it was a tacky match and ask who can tell the copy from the original. The protagonist thinks that he can still tell. Xin thinks she can only gamble one more time. Xing coughs and keeps coughing heavily. Xin looks back and wonders what he is doing and whether this is a hint. She observes the opposing beasts and realizes they are tired, then seizes the opportunity and orders her bird to attack. The opposing beast is struck head-on. Zhou asks how this could happen and says that she must have just gotten lucky, ordering the blue wolf with evil eyes to transform into clones. But immediately afterward, the bird attacks with ice, defeating the enemy. The announcer says that the result is decided. The winner of this match is Jin, and the individual score of Qinglong Academy is 2-0. Her teammates cheer. Xin hugs Yu and thanks him. The protagonist replies that it is nothing, just a small detail. Yang, indignant, asks what she is doing and what he did to his little sister. Xing replies that it is nothing serious. Yang tells him to let go of her hand and says that if he dares take advantage of his sister again, he will headbutt him until the end. Zhou says that she also lost, and the principal, extremely irritated, crushes the cigarette she was smoking. She tells them to come in the afternoon for a meeting. They will discuss team tactics. No one sleeps until they have a plan, and they will train until they drop. On the other side, the Lord says that it seems his son's strength still needs improvement. General Murong's daughter is meticulous and capable of identifying flaws at critical moments, and she truly lives up to the reputation of being the Academy's most promising talent. The Empress tells him not to pretend to be confused. He only managed to figure it out because of a hint, and the one who gave that hint was the divine doctor he praised. The Lord kneels and asks her not to blame them, but to give them another chance. Shang stands up and says that the two of them performed extremely well, and that she will invite them to the Emperor's Soul training camp. After that, on the other side, the protagonist says he is planning a barbecue tonight and asks if he can recommend a good place to eat. Yang tells him to get lost and asks who he is calling brother. A subordinate approaches holding a letter and says that their performance in the arena earned Her Majesty's approval, and that these are invitations to the Emperor's Soul training camp, which they must keep safe. Xing takes the letter, and Yang says that the Emperor's Soul training camp was created specifically by Her Majesty for new students from the 4 major academies, and that Her Majesty herself will personally act as their mentor. Yu asks what the Emperor's Soul training camp is. Murong replies that everyone who emerges from that training camp becomes a pillar of the Dragon Nation. The protagonist thinks that the Empress will personally teach them. Although there are many benefits to being close to her, he and the fox share a plasma bond, and he wonders whether that could be discovered. Xin touches his face and tells him not to stand there in a daze, asking whether he did not say they were going to have a barbecue and saying they can worry about the rest later. Later, at a barbecue restaurant, meat is grilling and the three of them are already seated and eating. Yang says that the four great clans are not saints who do not eat worldly food. Forget barbecue, his sister, and he even eat malatang and spicy strips. Yu says that he and his sister are from the four great clans and asks whether they really accept street food. Shin continues eating silently. The protagonist says he thought that life in the four great clans was all quite similar. Shin sighs. Shing asks what is wrong, and Shin replies that nothing is wrong. She's just a little upset seeing her older brother. Yu asks whether it is her period and says that he is a doctor and can examine her injury. Yang, furious, says he will eliminate him, and the protagonist tells him to calm down and that he will punish himself with 3 drinks. Yang asks drink what, saying that if the alcohol is as weak as pure water, what kind of punishment is that? Shing asks the waiter for the strongest drink. The waiter brings a crate of liquor. Yu suggests a drinking competition. If Yang cannot beat him in drinking today, he will take Yang's surname. Later, still in the same place, Yang vomits heavily. The protagonist asks if he is alright and whether he can still drink. Yang replies that he can still drink and warns him that after he gets married, he had better treat his sister well. Shing says that her brother is drunk and that he has really acknowledged him as his brother-in-law. Shin says that if her brother is there today, it is not that fun, and asks whether he could accompany her another day. Yu asks whether the team competition is tomorrow and the day after. Yang says no, and that he will go too. After that, the protagonist returns home and lies down, saying that he already has the foxtail grass and that the magical firefly flower will also be delivered soon. All that is left is divine beast-level dung, but how exactly should he deal with that? He decides to go to sleep and think about it later. The symbol in his hand begins to glow. The next day, someone touches his face and tells him to wake up quickly. It is the fox. Shing wakes up and asks how she managed to get out on her own, whether the Empress's people did not see her. Dailu replies that no, she went out to gather information, and that there is something very important. Yu says that is good and that she really scared him. He needs to pat his chest to calm down. The fox says he can pat his chest to calm down, but not rub hers. The protagonist apologizes and says it was a slip, that he touched the wrong place, then asks whether she left his beast tamer emblem without permission, and what she discovered. Dailu replies that Admiral Mo Kong-chi of the Dragon Nation Navy, from what she knows of the Dragon Nation, will certainly carry out an execution on the night of the full moon, 3 days from now. Shing asks about Murong Jin, whether it is not Liu Jin and their father, and what this has to do with her. The fox replies that the Medusa and she know each other. She is her friend and a divine-level beast. Yu says that it was to be expected that the Dragon Nation's naval admiral could subdue a divine-level beast and asks whether she is really planning to save her. Dailu says that she holds secrets about the Dragon Nation Empress's involvement in the Dragon Extermination War. The protagonist says he will not go. Even if they eliminate him, even if they call him a master, the answer is no. This is the underground fortress of the Navy headquarters. Thousands of high-level beast tamers patrol the prison. At the Navy headquarters, there is even Admiral Murong Yan, a 9-star beast tamer who can control beast domestication thanks to the sea god's plasma bloodline. With just the 2 of them breaking into a prison, how is that any different from seeking their own finalization? The fox calls out to him and Shing repeats that he will not go seek finalization. She should also not forget that she is his plasma-bound beast and must obey him. Then the system notifies him to go to the Navy headquarters, break into the prison, and rescue a dragon egg of the dragon race with pure plasma bloodline, with punishment for failure to rescue. Yu says that if he reveals his identity, his sister will also be implicated. It seems he has no choice but to take on this mission. Looking on the bright side, if he manages to complete the mission, not only will he receive a reward, but he will also have the chance to form a contract with his divine beast Medusa. The Medusa's droppings can also provide nutrients for the celestial soul vine beast. He will take the risk. She is his beast and also his family. He wants to help her unconditionally and decides that he will go with her to break out of prison and rescue the Medusa. The fox thanks him and more notifications arrive, saying that her loyalty has increased. Then the protagonist picks up his phone and says that it really is 3 days from now, asking why they chose that date. Dailu replies that because the divine race bloodline is special, to obtain a complete beast core, the serpent's head must be severed on the night of the full moon. On the other hand, if it is finalized on any other day, the beast core will be incomplete. Shing says that a 2-star beast tamer breaking into the heavily guarded Navy headquarters is so improbable that it is not even worth mentioning. For now, he needs to return to his beast tamer emblem and prepare for the coming days, and the fox says she is counting on him. Elsewhere, amid flames and lava, Yu says that the water of this lake looks like fresh plasma, disgusting to look at, and asks why they chose this place. They say that during the Dragon War, a gigantic dragon fell into the fallen dragon lake, staining it with plasma and causing the water to remain like blazing magma. But this is only a rumor. After all, there is no concrete evidence. He says that this team battle is far too exciting and that if they lose a layer of skin, he wants to see what is in the lake. A light shines from within the water. There is a bone beneath the surface. The protagonist observes and wonders if it is a dragon bone, thinking that if a contracted beast absorbs it, It would be like evolving, and wonders again how they would take it out. Shin tells them to pay attention. Many people across the country are watching the live broadcast. Murong says that he has been spacing out since they arrived and that the competition is about to truly begin. A voice welcomes them to the team battle of this year's Supernova competition. The cameraman is filming. Elsewhere, Ruo watches and says that the Azure Dragon Academy versus White Tiger Academy features exceptionally talented competitors, asking which side will emerge victorious. And the child says that this is the match for Big Brother. At the battle site, many people have gathered. Xing says that Liu Jun is right and that he needs to show his performance to his sister and the others. Yu summons his beast and his teammates also summon their partners. Zhou says he does not want to train at night anymore and that they need to win. The opposing team also has their beast beside them, but one of them does not summon anything. The protagonist finds it strange and wonders why that guy is not summoning his beast. A voice says that before they finish summoning, he will attack first, and Yang orders his griffin to attack. The young man without a beast remains standing still, and Xing tells him to be careful. The bird is attacked, plasma splashes everywhere. The young man summons his beast. It is a monkey with an absurd aura. Shin, startled, asks whether it is a ninja shadow monkey. Murong says that a contracted beast capable of performing one or even multiple instantaneous shifts within a specific range seems like a very difficult opponent to deal with. The snake opens its huge mouth and uses its Sandblade Tornado ability, while the blue-eyed wolf uses its pupil technique, Shadow Clone. A very strong light is emitted, and Yang says this is bad. His vision is blurred, he has experience dealing with evil eyes, and asks whether it can be countered. Lin says that the Konglong evil eye only ran out of steam during prolonged combat. Now, with the sandstorm affecting his vision, he cannot distinguish the true body. Black Claw is struck, and the protagonist tells him to stay calm and push through the sandstorm. The wolf charges forward through the light. The monkey launches its attack, hurling the boomerang and hitting the wolf head-on. Xing tells him to use shadow form. Shin asks if he is alright, and Yu replies that it is fine and that he had already anticipated this situation. Murong says that using concentrated fire tactics against him is far too despicable. Shin says they are focusing on him and that she cannot let them succeed. The griffin uses heavenly lightning to disperse the evil eye's clones. The wolf clone is struck directly. The boy orders the ninja shadow monkey to continue attacking with the boomerang. Shin says absolutely not. The bone-winged bat beast must protect the infernal wolf. The boy says it is useless, that it will not be able to protect the infernal wolf for long, and that with the combined assault he will definitely be the first to be eliminated. Yu asks if he is serious and tells his beast to release demonic power. A dark energy spreads out. The boy, shocked, asks if he has fully recovered. The protagonist says the battle has only just begun. This is the healing effect of demonic power. All the infernal wolf's wounds have healed, and it has completely recovered. The boy observes and thinks that the three focus their attacks on the infernal wolf. If it were any other beast, it would have already fallen. The healing effect of demonic power is simply extraordinary. Then the monkey begins to retreat, the snake as well, and the wolf starts to tremble. The boy, confused, asks whether the beasts are afraid and whether demonic power can also exert mental pressure on enemies. The wolf releases its intense flames, causing a massive impact. Murong thinks that a single beast skill simultaneously contains 4 different attributes: fire, wind, darkness, and demonic power. Infernal Fire Lotus, a truly versatile move. Black Claw continues unleashing searing flames. Zhou orders the snake to use Sandstorm Tornado to extinguish the flames, and the python obeys. The flames remain stronger, and an explosion erupts. Zhou asks how this is possible, saying that the sand attribute clearly counters the flame attribute. The protagonist asks about attribute counters and says that in the face of absolute power, that is nothing but a joke. Another terrifying explosion occurs, reaching even the cameraman. The smoke disperses, the python is wounded, and so are the others on the same team. Shin thinks that her partner truly did not use his full strength yesterday. Xing asks if this is the level of White Tiger Academy, and says that if so, he can take on all 3 alone. The boy tells him not to get emotional, that the plan has not changed, and that this time they must give it everything they have. The python attacks together with the monkey and the blue-eyed wolf, all at once toward Black Claw. Zhou asks whether, even with demonic power, he can withstand an attack of this magnitude. The protagonist asks if he is serious. Then, another explosion occurs, the smoke clears, and Zhou stares in shock. The wolf is even stronger, wrapped in a terrifying aura. The boy says that gathering one's own flames into armor is a combat skill that only transcendent fire element beasts can learn. Blazing Sun Armor. Zhou asks what that is, and his partner replies that Blazing Sun Armor can withstand a large amount of explosive attacks and convert the absorbed energy into power for the armor itself. This combat skill greatly tests the beast's comprehension and the tamer's spiritual energy reserves, and asks why he knows such a move. Xing asks why he is so distracted and whether he has not noticed anything unusual. Zhou and his partner begin looking around and ask whether the beasts have disappeared, saying they are in the air. The 3 beasts are floating. Then the monkey notices something. The bat leaps onto its back, releasing immense power. The boy says that the ninja shadow monkey does not have enough strength is about to be pushed out of the arena and that he can only summon his second beast. Another beast is summoned. It is a stone giant, and the master orders it to save the ninja shadow monkey. The protagonist says they finally forced out the fourth beast. The boy uses the giant's strength, and Freya blocks it. The boy says he has seen this in books and asks whether it appears to be a holy light angelic beast, and how a beast at the initial stage can block his adult stage stone giant. Xing says that this beast is far stronger than he imagined. The bat hurls the monkey away, causing a tremendous explosion. The first beast to be eliminated from the arena is the ninja shadow monkey. Unfortunately, competitor Heng, due to interference from the opponent, failed to save the beast. Yu continues with his two beasts intact and says he is not permitted to interfere in the next battle. He wants Freya to shine. The boy says this is arrogance and asks whether a mere initial stage beast wants to challenge several adult stage beasts. Joe tells his snake to teach that ignorant guy a lesson. The elf moves at high speed. The boy says this is very bad and tells them to protect the red python buried in the arena. Freya charges toward the snake. The python opens its huge mouth, releasing power, and the stone beast attacks together. Loud sounds erupt amid clouds of smoke. The commentator asks what just happened and tells the cameraman to quickly play it back in slow motion. The cameraman says he still cannot see clearly and will try slowing it down 1,000 times. Maybe then he can make something out. Murong asks what kind of combat skill that is and whether it is a light speed kick. The protagonist says that this combat skill was comprehended by Freya through her own ability and is called Lightning Flash. Lin says that beast has terrifying power. Even the stone giant is struggling and asks what they should do now. The boy replies that he does not know. Xing calls out to him and asks whether his beasts have ever been hit by a light speed kick. Yang says that is extremely offensive and that this line will definitely be the best flex of the year. Lin tells them not to panic. The opponent's monster definitely cannot use a light speed kick frequently. They still have two beasts, there is still a chance. The boy says he miscalculated and will now provide full support. Lin summons the war drum rhinoceros. Joe says he does not want to lose a second time and also summons his gray fox. Yang tells his sister not to worry and that he will not let him fight alone. The protagonist orders Freya to take down the smaller raging gray fox. The boy summons his rock giant and says he will not succeed. Shin orders the bat to block them. The elf lands a direct hit on the gray fox. The giant charges toward the bird and the rhinoceros opens its mouth, releasing tremendous power. The three enemies look on in shock. Lin says his spiritual power is running out, but looking at the opponent, there is still plenty left. Joe says he is also reaching his limit. His spiritual power is only enough for his beast to release one last combat skill. The boy says to use their ultimate skill. This is the last chance to turn the tables. Xing says their spiritual power is not abundant and they will likely use an all-out attack to try to flip the situation. This is the final round of the battle and they will also use their strongest ultimate skills. The boy orders his stone giant. Joe tells the python to use sandstorm. The stone giant uses the evil eye, a pupil technique, stone giant illusion. The protagonist calls to the two of them and the boy tells his beast to attack. Black Claw assumes an attacking stance and the stone giant charges. The boy asks whether the opponent has disappeared again, then looks on in shock as they retreat. The wolf releases flames, and Xing says to deliver the finishing blow. Jin says to inject infernal flame, and Murong says to release thunder power. Everything descends into chaos. The wolf opens its mouth, unleashing overwhelming power that spreads in all directions. It continues to spew intense, boiling flames, causing a massive impact that shatters the stone giant and everything around it. Afterwards, still in the same place, the giant is defeated, along with the blue-eyed wolf clone and the python lying on the ground. The boy watches, puts a hand to his head, and says they have lost. The commentator announces that the battle has ended and that the winner is Azure Dragon Academy. The protagonist says they won. Murong, irritated, tells him not to take advantage of his sister in front of the cameras. Then someone calls out. The boy, together with his team, says he is truly strong and that this time they admit defeat wholeheartedly, also feeling that it was not unfair that they lost yesterday. Xing thanks them for the compliment. A voice congratulates Su, and Ryan says that the national recognition the Academy gained this time is entirely thanks to White Tiger Academy for giving them such a positive image. The two shake hands and smile. Yu observes and says the two are competing again. Ju tells them to keep an eye on her student. Perhaps next year he will be her student. Su asks whether they want to steal her talent and whether they even have the ability to do so, then tells her student to come over for a moment. Ryan touches his shoulder and hugs him, saying that he saved his teammate's life and that she will definitely stand by his side. The protagonist tells her not to do that because they are still live. Elsewhere, Ruo watches this scene and becomes extremely irritated, thinking that woman is despicable. Later that night, Xing is walking around saying he can still drink and wants another round. Yang finds it strange and asks whether this kid was not able to drink quite a lot yesterday. Yet today he is already drunk after just 2 bottles. Shin says maybe he's not very good at drinking cocktails. They leave Yu at his house and close the door. The protagonist opens his eyes and calls the fox to go with him to the Fallen Dragon Lake. Dailu asks whether he is not drunk and where he intends to go in the middle of the night. Xing replies that he has figured out a way to save the Medusa and needs her to come with him. The fox is surprised and asks if it is true. Yu replies that to escape the prison, she needs to break through via evolution. She has been stuck at the third stage of the Beast Emperor for a very long time, and the dragon power within her body has not yet been completely eliminated. And he asks whether obtaining a pure plasma dragon bone would solve this. The fox asks where they could find a pure plasma dragon bone and what exactly a dragon bone is used for. The host says that time is passing minute by minute, and the number of demonic beasts hunted by both of them has already broken records. The wolf bites its target, and Shin thinks she cannot believe it can snatch something that is flying in the sky. She rushes forward to grab another beast, but the wolf is faster and Shin calls it an old fox. The protagonist says there is less than half a minute left and that she cannot beat him now, and the commentator states that, barring any unforeseen events, everything indicates that first place will go to Yu. A monster is behind the rocks, watching them approach, until the lion leaps out, and the host asks what is happening and how there can be a fully evolved level 3 demonic beast there. The protagonist jumps onto the wolf and the lion keeps advancing. Xing stares at it and says, "This is bad." Shin looks on in surprise. Yu ends up slipping off a cliff but manages to grab onto a branch. Shin reaches out her hand and tells him to give it to her. The protagonist looks to the side and realizes it is Yan again. The branch begins to crack, and Shin shouts his name. At the broadcasting station, Chen says that he himself wants to save his students. Su tells him not to worry, that they are also her students, and she will not allow anything to happen to them. Chen says he will request that the security department immediately initiate emergency rescue procedures. Sheng thinks that with a small trick, that boy will surely go meet the king of hell. At the base of the mountain cliff, the protagonist opens his eyes and realizes he is still alive, and remembers that all of this was Wang's doing once again. But this time, he is certain he will not let him escape. Xing looks to the side and realizes that his wolf is lying there injured, and asks if he used his own body as a cushion to save it. Yu summons a potion and tells his beast to ingest those nutrients, and the pain will pass. Suddenly it starts to rain. The protagonist watches and says he will take his beast to a place to shelter from the rain. Inside a cave, Xing asks when this rain will stop, thinks that his sister must be worried and would like to know how she is. Then someone approaches. Yu wonders if there is someone in the cave. Someone strikes him and a woman says that he has already seen her face, the Empress, so she can only eliminate him. The protagonist uses his eye ability and notices that she is a 9-tailed demonic fox. And he can also see her other data, and Xing thinks that then she is a demonic beast. The fox says she did not expect him to recognize her true form, and Xing thinks that even knowing it, he cannot defeat her, because a demonic beast at the level of a beastly emperor has power beyond resistance. The fox says it seems she cannot let him live. Yu coughs and tells her to wait, and also states that she was injured by a pure plasma dragon and will certainly lose her life in half an hour. The fox asks how he can know that. She releases him, and the protagonist thinks this is his chance. Then Xing reflects a light onto her face, and the fox puts a hand over her face. Yu says he already knows she is a 9-tailed demonic fox and asks how he could be unaware of such a small detail. The system notifies that she will lose her life in half an hour. Pathological analysis, injured by a pure plasma dragon, the dragon's power entered the body, the heart meridian is damaged, chi and plasma are flowing in reverse. The protagonist thinks that although he does not know why the race of pure plasma dragons, extinct for 300 years, has reappeared, he must stabilize her first, and says that he can save her. The fox says he is just a 1-star beast tamer and asks if he really can heal her, and also states that her injuries were caused by a pure blood dragon, and that even the most experienced veterinarians would probably have difficulty. Xing says it is not difficult and that he can save her. He needs her to sign a plasma pact with him. Still in the cave, the fox becomes irritated and begins to gather her power, asking if he wants her to submit to him and become his beast. Yu replies that that is exactly it. The fox says he is asking to lose his life. She starts choking him, and the protagonist says that killing him is easy, but if he loses his life, she will not live either. The fox wonders if she really needs to submit to this human until she feels a strange sensation. Xing says that the dragon's power has already deeply invaded her heart meridian, and that if she does not sign the plasma pact with him soon, it will be too late. The fox thinks she has no choice, that she cannot lose her life yet because she has a task her sister gave her. The fox looks at him and says she is willing to make a plasma pact with him. Yu bites his own finger, from which plasma begins to flow, and places it on her forehead, and a very strong light is emitted. The fox now knows his name and asks if he can treat her. The protagonist replies that naturally he can, that she is his beast now, and that he will certainly protect her. The fox asks why he is taking off his clothes, and Xing replies that it is to treat her. After all, how could he collect plasma without removing his clothes? He stabs his own chest with a dagger and says that she needs to absorb it quickly. The fox asks how he can do something like that. Yu replies that the plasma from his heart can protect her heart meridian. The fox thinks that she no longer cares about anything. Her heart meridian seems to be surrounded by a force, and the protagonist says that the injury is temporarily healed, then asks if he can know her name. The fox replies that her name is Dai Lu, and since he said he is her master, asks how he knew that the wound was caused by the power of a dragon. Xing thinks that since she has evolved with the extinct dragon race, she is clearly not a simple existence, and that she knows very well what her current situation is. He says that he will not hide it from her and explains that ever since his eyes were contaminated by dragon plasma 2 months ago, when guided by his own consciousness, he has been able to see a panel displaying information related to animals. He comments that, like a system, her injury also appeared on the information panel he saw with his eyes. The fox thinks that from his description, his eyes really do resemble the legendary demon god eye. According to legend, the demon god eye can see all information about all demonic beasts, and he must be mistaking it for a system, but this is something that only demon gods of the dragon lineage can inherit, and he is clearly just a human. She wonders who he really is. The protagonist asks why she's not speaking. Dailu thinks that she should forget about it since he is now her master, and that if it truly is the demon god eye, then that is also a good thing for her. She says that he hit the jackpot because his eyes may have mutated and transformed into the legendary demon god eye because of that dragon plasma. Xing asks whether the demon god eye is not a system. The fox asks what a system is and tells him not to be naive, that this is not an exoskeleton, and that he should read fewer novels. The information panel he sees is merely a manifestation and visualization of the demon god eye's ability. Xing asks if it is just a visualization of the demon god and wonders why he heard it speak. Yu recalls when he heard a voice telling him to pick something up quickly, saying it could awaken a beast's bloodline and transform it completely. He thinks that the first time was after the Shadow Dragon's attack, when it guided him to a crystal, saying it was a bloodline awakening crystal that could evolve Blackthorn. During the subsequent evaluation at the Azure Dragon Academy, he gave the bloodline awakening crystal to Blackthorn. Unexpectedly, it really evolved into an infernal windwolf and passed the evaluation of the Azure Dragon Academy. As for the next time he heard it, he does not know when it will be. They look ahead and notice a lion waiting for them, roaring and exerting immense pressure. It is a lava lion tiger beast, and the protagonist says that it was this thing that made him fall off the cliff, and that he cannot believe it is still chasing him. The lion charges, Xing falls to the ground, and the lion rushes toward him, but ends up being attacked. Yu is shocked. The fox attacks it and says that even while injured, it is not something that can challenge her. The two clash head-on, causing a powerful impact. The lion leaps over her, and Dailu asks how it dares to disrespect her. The fox exerts tremendous force until she releases an absurd power and burns the lion alive. The protagonist says that they are now safe, but he does not feel very well and ends up passing out. In the Sea of Consciousness, a voice says that he has finally woken up and calls him the Demon God Eye. Xing asks who is speaking, who it is, where they are, and whether the voice that guided him to the Bloodline Awakening Crystal was it, and who it really is. The voice replies that it was awakened by the power of the Bloodline and that it does not even know who it itself is. Xing wonders if the Bloodline power refers to the Dragon Plasma from that time. The voice says that it knows it can help him reach supreme glory. Yu says that this is a joke and asks how someone who does not even know who they are can help him. The voice asks whether he has not already witnessed its abilities. The protagonist thinks that the system panels he had mistaken were, in fact, its work. The dragon says that it can see all information of demonic beings and that, as long as he summons it with his consciousness, it will appear. It also says that by following its instructions, he will certainly become a dragon among men in the future. Xing asks what the purpose of all this is, and the dragon replies that perhaps it is to recover its memories. Yu asks why it is only appearing now, and the dragon replies that only with its growing strength can it communicate stably with his consciousness. The protagonist asks where this place is and how he ended up there. The dragon replies that this is the space of the Sea of Consciousness connected to his own, and that after he fainted, it took the opportunity to see him, adding that it is also time for him to wake up. Xing asks when they will meet again, and the dragon replies that it is always by his side. In the hospital, Yu wakes up and wonders how he ended up there, since he was still in the cave. The teachers ask if he is awake, and the protagonist says he made everyone worry. He remembers that he should still be in the cave at the bottom of the cliff and questions how he got there. Su says that the rescue team found him near the cave and that he was already unconscious when they found him. The strangest thing is that the rescue team also found the body of a lava lion tiger beast near the cave, less than 100 meters from where he was rescued, and she asks if he knows what happened. Xing asks if she said he himself was unconscious at the time and how he could know what happened, and states that she would not suspect that a one-star beast tamer like him, who almost lost his life, could have eliminated a lava lion tiger beast. Royan wonders if she's overthinking it and tells him not to worry, as the Academy will thoroughly investigate the incident and provide an explanation. Yu says, of course, and that he trusts the Dean. Chen adds that, in addition, in this mountain test, he and Shin received an S+ rating, breaking the Academy's record, and tells him to rest well and prepare for the freshman ranking competition this weekend. They leave the room, and the protagonist says he was wondering where she had gone, until he discovered that she entered the Beast Tamer emblem. The fox says that he bravely fed her with plasma from his own heart, and that, after being injured, he could not hold on and ended up fainting. She comments that it was a good thing the rescue team arrived because she does not want to be discovered by humans, so she will hide and asks whether his fall from the cliff was an accident. Xing replies that he already knows who was responsible, and that this time, for sure, he will not escape. In Wang's study, he tells his father that something happened. Dong says that this was reckless and asks what kind of behavior that is, while Yan comments that this is bad and that Yu was not finished off, he is alive. Yan also says that if they did not eliminate him last time, he will take revenge, and that he also has the support of the Azure Sky Guild. Sheng asks about retaliation and what that accidental fall on the mountain has to do with them, and questions whether, even if Yu suspects them, he would have any proof. Wang, in despair, asks what he should do now. Dong replies that naturally, if they do not finish him off at once, they should not stop but eliminate him completely. Sheng hands a small box to his son. At the family apartment, someone calls the protagonist. It is Wu, who says that it is truly a blessing from the heavens that he is alive, returned safely, and even took first place in the competition. Something incredible, stating that he does not even need a reason to admire him, and that if he finds out who the bastard was who harmed him, he will teach that person a lesson. Xing thinks that it seems everyone was worried about him. Wu also says that the freshman ranking competition was postponed, that only he is left to reach the top, and that it will be easy, wishing that their friendship lasts forever. Yu tells him to wait and asks if the competition was postponed waiting for him. Wu replies that he probably does not know, but that his disappearance has already become a very talked about topic, and that all work was delayed, including the freshman ranking competition. The freshman ranking competition is a major annual event at Qinglong Academy. First-year students will be divided into groups, and the order of competition will be determined by drawing lots. After the top 8 are decided, the top 3 will compete against each other. This is an intense and thrilling battle of life or elimination, which puts the future of the freshman on the line. And he cannot be late. The protagonist says he knows and that he should rest a bit earlier. He thinks about the freshman ranking competition and that if he achieves a good placement, he will certainly attract attention, receive incentives, and have more resources allocated by the academy. For a beast to release its abilities, the beast tamer needs to provide sufficient spiritual power. The higher the level of the beast, the more spiritual power is required to cast abilities. Xing also thinks that with the academy's resources, he will certainly be able to increase his spiritual power more quickly, and that he needs to avoid a repeat of the last situation, when Delu used her ability and drained all of his spiritual power. To completely eradicate that family's father and son, he must rely on Delu's power. With energy self-consumption in mind, before the start of the freshman ranking competition, he wonders how he can increase his spiritual power and thinks about asking. He appears in another place, and the voice asks if he wants to take a shortcut. The protagonist says he is already there, and asks why he should not seize the opportunity. The dragon says that is fine, as long as he can help it recover its memories, and that it will do everything within its power to help him. Xing says that he always keeps his word. The dragon says that he needs to meditate deeply to enter the sea of consciousness and communicate with it, and that this is very dangerous. It refined his data panel by referencing game systems from the human world, and in the future, he will be able to acquire the necessary items from the shop. However, to prevent him from becoming complacent and delaying the important task of recovering its memories, it will periodically assign tasks through the system, and he will only receive points or other rewards with real items. Xing focuses on the Dragon Spirit Pill, a pill capable of instantly increasing the user's spiritual power by 10 times. But after 5 minutes, it will have a side effect leading to a period of weakness. The dragon says that this pill should be exactly what he is thinking of, but that the side effects are significant, so he must use it carefully, and for now consider it a gift. From now on, he will have to obtain what he wants on his own. From this point forward, he only needs to silently chant, "Beast Tamer breaks the void." Sacred Screen obeys the command to summon the system. He needs to rest from now on, and unless there is a special situation, should not visit it so easily. Yu says he will not disturb its rest and asks if he can leave. The dragon asks if he will not disappoint it. At the family apartment, a voice says he is going to school. Ruo says that he has just recovered and should take it easy, and the child also tells him to protect himself. The protagonist replies that he understands and thinks that today is the freshman ranking competition, and wonders whether old Wu might miss him. Then Xing picks up a piece of paper and asks what it is. It is a written notice that says, "Nine-tailed fox beast empress, assault and robbery." In a secluded alley, Yu asks if she deceived him, and why she did not say she was wanted by the royal family. The fox replies that she did not hide it on purpose. He simply did not ask. The protagonist says that she is a fugitive with a bounty issued by the Empress herself, which is a very serious situation, and asks whether she would not have mentioned it voluntarily. Dailu replies that if he regrets forming a plasma pact with her, he can sell her for the reward. Xing says that he is now her master and hopes that she will trust him and hide nothing from him. The fox looks at him and says that is fine. That woman Shang placed a high bounty on her head because of the thing she has in her hand. Yu asks what that is, and Dailu explains that it is one of the greatest treasures of the Dragon Clan, the Dragon Tear. Legend says that the Pyro Plasma Dragon Clan possesses 3 great treasures: the reverse scale sword, the Dragon King's whiskers, and the Dragon Tear. Both the reverse scale sword and the Dragon King's whiskers are destructive artifacts capable of unleashing devastating attacks in battle. The Dragon Tear has no offensive power, but it is formed by the fusion of the tears of 10,000 pure plasma giant dragons. If all of its power is released, it can reverse time and return to the past. The protagonist is extremely surprised to hear that it is possible to return to the past and says that he wanted to ask earlier if the Dragon Clan was extinguished 300 years ago, why dragons have been appearing again recently, and what the truth behind the Dragon War that occurred 300 years ago really is, until someone calls out to him. The fox disappears. It is Murong and his sister, who say that it is quite a coincidence and ask why he is also there, saying that they thought his sister had mistaken someone else. Murong says that he is very lucky to be alive and that he should be careful not to lose his life next time. Shin thinks that her brother clearly cares about him and wonders why he has to say it in such a harsh way. Young says that when he fell from the cliff, her sister felt so guilty that she did not even want to eat. And when they said that dinner was ready, she replied that she was not going to eat until she saw him safe on TV and ate several extra bowls of rice that night. Shin feels embarrassed and puts her hand over her brother's mouth. The protagonist says he understands and that he will no longer worry the representatives of the Murong class. Young says that their relationship is not good enough for them to travel together and that, besides that, he also stole his sister's prey during the mountain test, and he still has not settled the score with him. Shuo calls his sister to leave, and Xing, confused, wonders why he is actively coming over to talk to him. At Azure Dragon Academy, the host says good morning to everyone and announces that the annual freshman ranking competition is about to begin. All freshmen must participate in a draw to determine the order of the battles and line up in an orderly manner. Wang thinks that Yu really returned unscathed and that this time he will make sure Yu never gets back up again. The commentator calls the next student forward to draw a lot. The students nearby comment that it is him, that he relies on his father's power and influence to harass female students in the library, and say that this guy is the biggest joke in the academy. Yan hears this and thinks that this was the humiliation Yu caused him. The host announces that they are already in the first round 7th match. Wang smiles sinisterly and thinks that today Yu will pay 100-fold. The commentator calls Yan and Yu. People become excited to watch this fight and say that it is quite a coincidence that enemies truly meet on a narrow road. Wang thinks for his father not to worry, that he will not disappoint his expectations, and says that later in the arena, he will cripple Yu's beast himself. The protagonist asks if that is really so and says he is waiting. In the arena, they enter. Murong asks why his sister is always staring at Xing, and she asks if he did not feel it. Yang asks what she means by feel, and Shin replies that ever since Yu was rescued, after falling off the cliff, his aura has become much stronger. Su wonders what exactly he went through during these few days. The host says that the first round, 7th match, Yu versus Yan, may begin. Wang charges forward quickly. The protagonist takes an attacking stance and summons Blackthorn. Yan summons the leopard and uses the Ice Flame skill. The commentator says that the electronic screen is displaying the beast's information detected by the beast taming tester, and that the audience should pay close attention. Shin notices the aura and says that something is wrong, thinking that judging by the current aura of the infernal windwolf, its level is above the early stage of rank 1. But the beast taming tester cannot be wrong. The infernal windwolf's level is indeed early stage rank 1. It is very strange, unless Yu is deliberately suppressing the infernal windwolf's level, hoping to achieve a breakthrough evolution during this competition. The leopard and the wolf exchange fierce and powerful blows. The leopard releases its shattered frozen sky skill from its mouth. It is a strong power that spreads even to the audience, making them feel cold. The smoke dissipates and the wolf appears behind it and uses Infernal Roar, releasing a terrifying power and blasting the leopard away. The people in the audience begin to feel heat because of the intense power. The host says it is a spectacular duel, freezing cold one moment, scorching heat the next. The protagonist tells his beast to use Silent Claw, and the commentator also says that he is the first to use Dark Attribute combat skills. The wolf becomes even stronger and strikes the opponent. The host says that the 6-clawed Rift Leopard has been hit by Silent Claw and is unable to use any abilities. Wang asks if he thinks he himself will fall in the same place twice. Yan moves his hand, the leopard nods, stands still, and begins releasing ice, slams its paw on the ground, and emits an extremely bright light. Shin asks how he suddenly became so strong. The leopard is extremely powerful, with an absurd aura, and whether he used some kind of forbidden drug that allows temporary power boosts. He says that in order to defeat him, he forced his beast to ingest forbidden drugs. Wang tells him to mind his own business. Then Yan uses Ice Flame, Ice Blade Storm, and the leopard releases an enormous amount of ice. The wolf stands its ground, and Xing tells it to hold on. Wang says it is not over yet and orders his beast to use Ice Flame and the shattered Ice Hammer. The ice increases in quantity, becoming even stronger, being released and causing a massive impact. People ask how he suddenly became so powerful, and Yu is at a disadvantage and may lose the match. Wang says that in the last arena fight, he let Yu win, but this time, he will show his true strength. Dong asks whether his son's talent is not inferior to his own. Su turns serious and thinks that the six-clawed rift leopard suddenly becoming stronger must involve some kind of trick. Otherwise, she truly would not believe it. What a foolish father and son pair. The commentator says that Yu's current situation is far from good and that, at this pace, the infernal windwolf might not only lose, but also suffer long-lasting side effects. Everyone grows tense, watching closely, and the host asks whether the outcome is already decided and if Yu still has any chance to turn the situation around. The protagonist wonders whether they really think the more than 100 demonic beasts he hunted in Yinna Mountain were vegetarians. Xing orders his beast to use infernal fire lotus, and flames begin to rise. Wang looks horrified and tells the leopard to run, but there is no time and it is hit head-on. The wolf stares at it and releases even more flames. Chen watches with a smile and says that this is the fire attribute battle skill, Infernal Fire Lotus. Su thinks that being able to use a battle skill that only a fully formed beast can release means his future is limitless. Dong thinks that he is growing far too fast and truly cannot be allowed to live. The host says that the audience is not mistaken. Yu has used a battle skill of a fully formed fire attribute beast. The Infernal Windwolf is currently only at the initial stage, yet it has already learned a high-level battle skill far beyond its rank. At this rate, Yu may surpass Yi and become the #1 genius of Azure Dragon Academy. The leopard is burned, the smoke disperses, and the leopard lies defeated on the ground. The crowd watches in deadly silence, and the host announces that the winner is Yu. The crowd erupts in cheers, saying this guy is a true monster. The Infernal Fire Lotus is terrifying as expected. Looking at the massive electronic screen, the Infernal Windwolf statistics change from early stage 1 to stage 3. Xing has set an unprecedented record since Azure Dragon Academy began hosting the freshman ranking competition. This is the first time a beast has advanced 2 stages in the arena, and the one who created this miracle is none other than Yu. The leopard remains collapsed on the ground, and the protagonist congratulates his beast, thinking that after hunting dozens of demonic beasts in the mountain, Blackfang was attacked by a lava lion tiger beast. Having gone through the baptism of life and elimination, Blackfang had already reached the critical point of advancement. He used the 6-clawed rift leopard, which neutralizes Blackfang's seal attribute battle skills, to push it to the limit and allow it to be reborn from the cocoon. Dong says that everything requires evidence and asks where the proof is. Xing wonders what kind of trouble Dong is trying to stir up now and thinks he would like to see it. Sheng says that the competition rules require stopping before causing fatal injuries, and asks whether the fact that the 6-clawed rift leopard was eliminated in the arena is not proof enough. People nearby say that although Yu is talented, he is ruthless and should not be kept, that if there truly is a problem with his character, he should be expelled, and that favoritism cannot be allowed. Su says that the Academy will certainly conduct a thorough investigation and give everyone an explanation. However, until the truth comes to light, anyone who tries to frame her student will not escape consequences from her, and she orders that the body of the 6-clawed rift leopard be brought over so the beast doctor can perform an autopsy. They take the leopard away and begin analyzing it. Ryan asks how it is going and whether they found anything, and the doctor replies that he found massive internal hemorrhaging, which must have been caused by the Infernal Fire Lotus. Dong thinks how fortunate it is that he bribed the Academy's beast doctor in advance, knowing that the dean, with her meticulous mind, would try this tactic, and asks if she heard that, saying that even the doctor confirmed it. The protagonist steps forward and asks which eliminator would dare defend an evil strike in front of everyone, adding that although Blackfang's Infernal Fire Lotus attack is devastating, the 6-clawed rift leopard's body clearly lost its life due to massive internal hemorrhaging. People nearby say that it makes sense, that he would not need to do something like that in full view of everyone, and that moreover, a soul attack would not cause physical damage. Xing asks whether the diagnosis is truly beyond dispute, and the doctor hesitates to speak. Yu advises the doctor not to sacrifice his career as a beast veterinarian for a small personal gain, and to think carefully before speaking. The doctor wonders what he should do, and whether he has already been exposed. The protagonist says that this is a serious matter and formally requests a plasma examination of the 6-clawed rift leopard for a more detailed verification. 10 minutes later, after the analysis, the doctor hesitates to speak. Su asks why he is stammering and orders him to tell the truth. The doctor says that the leopard was eliminated because of a berserk pill. Wang tells him not to dare slander him and claims that he never gave any rage pill to his beast. The doctor says that the laboratory results are right there, and that it is confirmed the 6-clawed rift leopard ingested a berserk pill. After consuming this pill, the beast enters a berserk state, increasing its strength but also causing a severe adverse reaction. Royan asks whether, even with irrefutable evidence, he's still going to deny it. People nearby say that the vice dean's son is truly cruel for giving such a drug to his own beast, and that they cannot believe such an inhumane person did this. Wang begs his father to save him. Dong asks whether his son can be given one more chance. Su tells him not to forget his identity because he is not only a father, but also the vice dean of Azure Dragon Academy, and that if he wants to engage in private misconduct, he should leave the academy together with his son. Sheng thinks that if this continues, he will also be implicated, and says that Wang violated school regulations by giving a berserk pill to a beast, and that expulsion is the punishment. Wang asks whether even his own father is going to expel him. Dong replies that the fact that he took the berserk pill is undeniable, that all that remains is to reach a settlement, but that he will definitely take revenge, and that someone must expel this malicious person from the school. The host says that it is finally over, and that he heard the list of the top 8 has already been announced. Yu is truly the biggest surprise among this year's freshmen, because without any power or influence, he managed to reach the top 8 by advancing directly while everyone he faced was eliminated. Murong says that Yu made it into the top 8, that he stole many eliminations in the mountain test, and that when he faces him tomorrow, he will definitely avenge her. But Shin says no, because she herself is looking forward to defeating him tomorrow. Wu says that he has good news for his brother, because he made it into the top 8. The protagonist asks whether just making it into the top 8 is really something to be so excited about, and Wu replies that it absolutely deserves a proper celebration. Dong thinks for him not to celebrate too early and wants to see whether he will still be smiling when he gets home. That night, Xing thinks it is already late, yet old Wu insisted on dragging him out to celebrate. When he finally gets home, he asks why the door is broken. He becomes worried about his sister until the child calls out to him and says that his sister was kidnapped by masked men who left a letter behind. Yu tells her not to cry, that his sister will be fine, and reads the letter, which says that if he wants to save his sister, he must go to the mountain. Later, on the mountain, the protagonist wonders who dares to lay a hand on his sister and whether this is really possible. Ruo is on the ground, leaning against a tree, and a hooded man tells him to stop shouting because his sister has not been eliminated yet. Xing demands that they release his sister, and the hooded man asks whether he is not curious to know his identity. Yu says that the only one who has held a grudge against him lately is Wang, but that he does not have the courage or ability to kidnap someone, so it can only be his father. Dong removes his hood and says that is correct. He claims that if Yu were his son, he could definitely train him to become the strongest young beast tamer in the entire Dragon Nation, but he is not, and on top of that, he injured his own son, so he must lose his life. Immense earth power manifests and rock-based protection emerges. Shang summons his bear and says that the giant stone demon bear is a beast at the Beast King level, capable of constantly remaining in an overlord state, continuously releasing skills while simultaneously nullifying the enemy's crowd control abilities. A 1-star beast tamer against a Beast King level beast, and that is where life ends. The protagonist says he is afraid he will disappoint him. Dong asks whether he is going to summon his wolf dog to serve as a snack for the giant stone demon bear. Xing asks who said he only has one beast, and declares that now it is his turn to make an appearance. The clouds close in, and Sheng says that this aura is terrifying. The fox is summoned and asks why she was called, saying that he is interrupting her beauty sleep again, and that he had better think carefully about how to compensate her. Su orders that the bear be eliminated. Dailu asks whether, after taking care of this bear, she can go back to sleep. The protagonist replies that that is exactly the case, and that she can sleep as much as she wants. Dong thinks that the aura emitted by this beast is far too frightening, and that if he does not act now, it may already be too late. The bear charges forward, and the fox releases her terrifying aura, turning the bear into stone with a single strike. Sheng is shocked when he sees this and realizes that she is the nine-tailed fox. He understands that a pact has been made with the most wanted criminal in the entire nation, and thinks about what will happen once this spreads. Xing smiles and says that the fact he summoned the nine-tailed fox in front of them means he has absolutely no intention of letting them leave that mountain alive. Xing says that the gap between a 1-star and a 6-star existence is not something a single beast can make up for, and that he himself is a 6-star beast tamer. The bear shatters the stone encasing its body, takes an attacking stance, and begins releasing intense mana. They face each other. Dong says that the nine-tailed fox is indeed powerful, but that they should not forget that no matter how strong she is, it does not change the fact that Yu is only a 1-star beast tamer. He then adds that the gap between a 1-star and a 6-star existence is insurmountable. The bear destroys everything around it and releases an absurd aura, creating overwhelming pressure. The protagonist realizes that the dark mist is a shadow attribute, and remembers that shadow creatures need to consume human or other creatures' plasma to stay alive. He remarks that ever since 5 years ago, many low-level beasts have been disappearing frequently in Hidden Dragon City, meaning Sheng was the one responsible all along. Sheng laughs and says that dying in the jaws of his giant stone demon bear is their honor. Sheng's eyes widen as he thinks of the Red Skull Guild, a beast tamer guild specializing in training dark attribute beast tamers, classified as an evil terrorist organization. The Red Skull Guild is one of the 5 major dark guilds. He asks what the consequences would be if the world discovered that the Vice Dean of Azure Dragon Academy was secretly a member of Red Skull. Dong replies that since his true identity has already been exposed in front of him, he will not allow him to leave that mountain alive. The fox says that with his current spiritual power reserves, he cannot use any battle skills. Yu tells her not to worry, saying that he never fights battles with a win rate below 100%. The protagonist swallows a pill, begins to feel something different, and his aura surges. Dong tells him to prepare to lose his life. The bear charges forward and the fox steps in front, saying that she is here. Just as the bear is about to attack, Xing activates the plasma devouring eye beast. The fox grows stronger, the aura around her becoming even more terrifying as she begins to howl and release mana. The bear freezes in place and is struck head-on from behind, along with Dong. Sheng says he has not come to terms with it, but Dong is burned away. Immediately after, the protagonist jumps off the cliff and wonders if this is the side effect of consuming the dragon spirit pill. Xing ends up losing consciousness. The fox panics and tells him not to fall asleep. Then someone approaches and grabs her by the neck. It is Ruo, who keeps holding her by the throat and thinks that her aura is terrifying. She is revered as a beast emperor level demonic beast, yet she never expected her to have formed a pact with her brother. Dailu asks about the power of the dragon. Ruo, whose aura is overwhelmingly powerful, thinks that not even the Empress has ever witnessed such intense draconic power. The fox asks whether she is not his biological sister, and how she can possess dragon power, wondering who he really is. Ruo gestures for her to be quiet and says she does not need to know her identity. In any case, at this moment, she is simply his sister. Ruo places her hand on her brother's body and Dailu asks what happened to him. Ruo replies that he must have taken some medicine to increase his spiritual power, which ended up having the opposite effect. But there is no need to worry, as he is fine and only needs 3 days of rest. The fox says that this is good. Ruo senses something, walks a few steps forward, and begins chanting loudly, her voice spreading through the surroundings. Dailu asks if that is the Dragon's Whisper, and thinks that the Dragon's Whisper is an exclusive battle skill of pure plasma dragons, capable of restoring all things in the world by chanting a special melody. Ruo says that she has erased all traces of that night's battle, and that aside from herself, her brother, and Dailu, no one else will ever know what happened. The fox comments that, as far as she knows, among the pure plasma dragons, only one has platinum-colored scales, and her name is Chaos. Ruo says she does not care that Dailu is wanted by the Empress of the Dragon Nation, but since she has formed a plasma pact with her brother, she must not harbor any doubts and must properly assist her brother in the future. She states that she will do nothing against Dailu, but if she ever does otherwise, she will immediately cut off all 9 of her tails and asks if she understands. Dailu answers that she does. Ruo also tells her not to reveal her identity to her brother. In the ward, the protagonist wakes up. Ruo says it is good that he is fine because he made her very worried. Xing replies that she is crushing him and that he cannot breathe. Ruo says that that night she woke up and saw him on the mountain, unconscious beside her, and that although she does not know what happened, when she saw him drenched in sweat, she quickly carried him down the mountain for an examination. Yu thinks that his sister did not notice anything unusual, and that it seems the fox cleaned everything up. Su approaches and says that he was in a coma for 3 days, missing the semifinals and finals of the freshman ranking competition. First and second place went to Murong and Yang, and thus they considered that he voluntarily gave up the spot. Yu asks if she is not curious to know why he appeared on the mountain. Rayan sighs and says that 3 days ago the vice dean also disappeared. The protagonist wonders if he is about to be exposed, and Ruo thinks that if anyone harms her brother, she will immediately get rid of that person. Su says she will continue investigating the matter, that she believes in his innocence, and that it is already time for the academy to have a new vice dean. Xing wonders if she chose to protect him. Rayan replies that besides checking on his health, she mainly came to talk about the Supernova tournament. Yu asks about the Supernova tournament, and Su explains that the Supernova tournament is a large-scale event jointly organized by the 4 major beast tamer academies: Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. The 4 academies will each send 3 freshmen to compete, and the participants are young talents and rising stars from each institution. At Azure Dragon Academy, when talking about the most promising talent, Ye's name is always mentioned, but in last year's Supernova tournament, she was defeated by Lee from White Tiger Academy and only took 2nd place. Therefore, they hope he can represent Azure Dragon Academy as one of the competitors and lead the academy to reclaim its glory. For him, this also makes up for the regret of missing the freshman ranking competition. Yu says he still does not know the entry requirements for the Supernova tournament. Su explains that there are only 2 entry requirements. First, competitors must have at least 2 contracted beasts. Second, they must be 2-star beast tamers. The competition will take place next month, and she believes he can qualify before then. The protagonist thinks that she has a very positive opinion of him, and that she has already taken care of him several times, so he decides that he cannot disappoint her. Moreover, he also wants to see the strength of White Tiger Academy, which was able to defeat Ye, and tells her not to worry because 1st place in the Supernova tournament will be his. On the mountain, Xing walks and thinks that every competitor who participated in last year's Supernova tournament had at least 2 contracted beasts. Although he also has 2 beasts, Dailu is a nationally wanted criminal and cannot be summoned for public battles. In addition, Black Talon is currently only a Hellstorm Wolf at initial stage, level 3, which makes it difficult to deal with a tournament of the supernova caliber. That night is the time for Black Talon to break through its barriers and advance. The protagonist summons Black Talon, which emits an intense light, and says it is a good thing he was prepared. After Dean left during the day, he was discharged from the hospital and used the wages from his part-time job as a beast tamer doctor at the Azure Vault Guild to buy some fire attribute nutrients and some evolution materials. Some of them were also rewards from the Yinnan Mountain Test and the freshman ranking competition. This should be enough for the evolution, Black Talon. The wolf opens its enormous mouth, emitting an extremely bright light. An aura envelops its body, and Xing tells it to hold on. Advancement carries the risk of chi deviation, and the fox must stand guard. The wolf's aura becomes dark, and the protagonist tells it to stay calm. Dailu releases her mana. Xing lowers his head and thinks that he can feel the pain Black Talon is experiencing at that moment. He says that beasts break through the void and that the sacred screen follows the command. He needs to quickly check how much time remains for Black Talon to successfully evolve. The system notifies that the progress bar is at 30%, climbing until 99 where it gets stuck. Yu asks if it could have failed. The pressure becomes even more intense until the wolf successfully evolves. The fox thinks that the lower world actually awakened the demonic attribute and that this boy is truly a special beast tamer. The protagonist becomes very excited and says that this is great, that he has become stronger. Dailu says that he needs to contract another beast and asks what he plans to do. Xing replies that as for that, Qin can help him. Elsewhere, Yu thanks her for the beast, and Yanran asks what he means by thanking her, saying that he is her brother, that his business is her business, and that everything is just a big mess. At the beast shop, Qin says he can choose anything he likes. A girl informs them that the young lady is there to buy lightning attribute nutrients or lightning attribute beast crystal cores. Yanran explains that her brother needs to contract a new beast for a competition next month and asks if she can recommend one. Sanyang says not to worry and to leave it to her, then recommends several beasts. The evil-eyed red spider has much higher attack power than beasts of the same level. The extreme dark violet striped cat is also excellent, agile in combat and capable of dealing critical damage. That one over there is also outstanding. The protagonist says not to recommend cheap animals, only high-quality beasts, since he will pay for them. Sanyang says that since he put it that way, she will stop hiding her treasures and let him choose from the best creatures in the shop. They enter another room and Young asks whether any have caught his eye. The cave pangolin's stats are very good across the board. The burn damage of the three-eyed tyrant serpent's poison is also quite impressive. The icebone sculpture possesses a legendary bloodline and does not fall short in other aspects either. Xing realizes that none of these beasts have a hidden bloodline. Qin asks what is wrong and whether he does not want any of them. Sanyang comments that he is not satisfied even with so many high-quality beasts and asks what kind of beast he really wants, saying that he just needs to say the word and she will specially restock another day for him. At that moment, a voice announces that new goods have arrived and that this batch is truly adorable elf-type beasts. Yu says that as far as he knows, elf-type beasts are also considered useless beasts and asks why anyone would think of stocking elf-type creatures. Yanran says that if these elves were sold as beasts, they definitely would not sell, but if sold as pets, there would be no shortage of buyers. The protagonist thinks this is to satisfy the twisted tastes of some powerful and influential people. Xing observes with his ability, and the system displays the beast's data. Yu wonders if that water spirit actually possesses a hidden bloodline. Qin asks why he is staring into space, and Yu replies that he wants to buy her. Sanyang says he would not do that, and Yanran asks if he is joking. The protagonist says he wants her as his beast and thinks that this is an angelic bloodline. On the mountain, Xing opens the cage and tells her not to be afraid, that he will not hurt her, and that this way her injury will heal. The elf takes the healing pill and begins to recover. Yu asks if she is willing to form a plasma pact with him and become his beast. The elf looks at him and remembers all the care he showed, then touches his finger. The protagonist asks again if she is willing. Xing pricks his own finger and pours the plasma onto her head, saying that from now on, she is his partner. Now that they have signed the plasma pact, it means she is bound to him. Yu also thinks that indeed, after signing a plasma pact, the beast and the master become even closer. He says that this is a bloodline awakening crystal, and that he has already crushed it, and that she will evolve after eating it. Then the elf begins to eat, and after ingesting a piece, she feels something strange. An energy begins to be released around her body, and the protagonist tells her to keep eating, that she will be fine after enduring it. An explosion occurs, and the fox asks what happened and whether he is all right. Xing replies that he is fine. An energy begins to gather around an egg, and when the egg cracks, the elf changes her appearance and successfully evolves, becoming even stronger. Yu says that the hidden bloodline has been activated and the system displays the data. The protagonist says that on the day he becomes a 9-star beast tamer, she will be able to evolve into a 12-winged seraph. He says that he has not yet given her a name and mentions that before awakening the hidden bloodline, she was a water elemental spirit. He then asks what she thinks about being called Freya. The elf lands on the ground and bows to him. Xing says that from now on they will fight side by side. The fox comments that it seems he has taken another step toward the supernova tournament, and Yu agrees, saying that the next step is to become a 2-star beast tamer. In the office, Chen is surprised and asks whether he wants to apply for the 2-star beast tamer examination. The protagonist replies that this is exactly the case, since the supernova tournament is about to begin, so he needs to quickly pass the 2-star beast tamer evaluation. The professor wonders how these creatures grow so fast and thinks that the Murong siblings also passed the 2-star beast tamer evaluation 3 days ago. He heard that Yu's black talon has already evolved to the first stage of maturity, and that perhaps he truly meets the standards for the 2-star beast tamer evaluation. He says that if the spiritual energy meets the requirements, he will agree to let him participate in the evaluation. Xing says that he has already said everything. The instructor beside him comments that he heard Yu is exceptionally strong and that they will verify it personally. The number on Yu's wristwatch rises to 2,583, and the instructor says that if she had not seen it with her own eyes, she really would not have believed it. Chen thinks that generally, after a beast breaks through and evolves, the beast tamer's spiritual power increases proportionally. But based on previous big data analysis, the spiritual power value of a 2-star beast tamer usually falls between 2,000 and 3,000. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new content. Thank you.